Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Do you mind if I say a few words? Thank you.
Yes, what about that? 2 earthquakes near the Lancashire coast have shaken homes in Blackpool, with the strongest tremor having a magnitude of 3.3 on the Richter scale. The earthquake was recorded at just before 10 a.m. today by the British Geological Survey. The earlier quake at around 5:30 on Sunday measured 2.4 on the Richter scale. As 2.4 and 3.3 is it's like it's about 6.
Correct.
It's about 6. Social media users took to Twitter, not saved their pets or, collected all their breakable valuables. No, they went straight to Twitter. They said they felt the ground move beneath them, particularly in the northwest of England. Blackpool resident Kathy said, "I looked around and the bed was shaking. I thought it was a big lorry going past, or maybe that I'd got lucky." I made that part up. She didn't say that. Glenn Ford, not that one, he's from the British Geological Survey, said it could have been quite alarming for anyone who felt the earthquakes. The authorities say there's nothing to worry about. Yeah. Not many people experience earthquakes in the UK, says Glenn Ford of the British Geological Society. There's only two or three of them a year in that size, of that size. Well, you wait till they start fracking under your flower beds. The earth is trembling just at the thought of it. A slightly larger earthquake was recorded in the Irish Sea back in May, which was felt in parts of Ireland and North Wales. Fortunately, there's nothing there valuable to break. The 3.8 magnitude tremor occurred 15 kilometres away from Abersoch in Gwynedd in Wales. People as far away as Dublin and Wexford and Wicklow and Kildare, which sound like a lot like names that people have just made up. They claim that they felt it at the time, but most of them were probably drunk. The weather. Oh, by the way, if you've just tuned in and wondered what on earth is going on, Anthony Davis is sick. Let me be more specific. He's feeling ill. Yes, he's not actually sick. He's feeling ill. Sick implies, there's actually something mentally wrong with him, but there's no indication that that is true. And the good news is that the sun is going to come out just in time for the end of the bank holiday. Can you believe it? It's going to be sunny on August bank holiday.
No.
Yeah, 80 degrees. Wow. But, pay no attention to the nice newsreader Zora Suleiman. If she told you another temperature, then I beg to differ. 80 degrees, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be the last barbecue opportunity of the summer, so say weather experts. But what do they know? The only thing that kept the weather off the front page of the Daily Express today was Princess Di. Yes. That's the story that keeps on giving. Heavy rain on Saturday left much of people's holiday plans in ruins, with surface flooding on roads. Most areas in the southeast saw half an inch, with over an inch in the south of London and in Surrey and Kent. Some people saw even more.
We're looking at 10 inches.
The rain is expected to start to move away from the UK now. How's it doing? Not raining out the window. And warm temperatures are going to come in for tomorrow, but not for the rest of your life. That's it. Over. Finished. A long, steady slope down into autumn, and it's practically Christmas. There could be showers over the southwest and the northwest, but the rest of the country is going to be settled. Traffic jams are expected on roads to the coast. Don't go to the coasts. The A23 to Brighton, the M3 to Dorset, the M5 to Devon, and all other roads in between are expected to be non-moving as sunseekers hit the beach, or try to, for the last warm day of the British summer holidays. It's over. How did it come around so quick? It's the end of August. Can you believe it? Supermarkets predict a barbecue rush as families make the most of the last of the sunshine before school begins. Oh, back to school.
Oh, no.
Yes. The only good thing about going back to school was that you got a new pencil set. Hey, you know who's telling you to reuse your pencils? The wife of the new governor of the Bank of England. I'll come to that in a minute. I can see you're on the edge of your seats. Tesco's expect bank holiday weekend sales of 10 million sausages and 2 million burgers. Dead cow. As the week progresses, however, the temperatures will gradually fall to... well, it's not that bad. Hey, I bet my glamorous assistant wants to find out the weather for the next 5 days. That's a look that says no. As the week progresses, the temperatures are going to fall to highs of about 75 degrees. Well, that's not bad. We'll take it. We'll take it gratefully, and we'll say...
Thank you.
75 degrees, not bad. Not bad for the precipice of September. It's practically October. It's nearly November. It's almost January. The longer-term forecast up to early September, cloud and rain in the north, and largely fine conditions for the south. Ha ha! Another excellent reason to leave the north. Met Office figures show the UK average temperature for June, July and August so far is 15 degrees centigrade. That's the average temperature both night and day, presumably. And this will make it one of the 10th hottest summers on record, and the hottest since 2006, which was the hottest summer ever. And it's all thanks to global warming, or climate change, as you're supposed to call it now. Because people get picky and say, well, you know, like in the depths of winter, when there's snow up to their armpits, they'll say, well... global warming, it's not very warm, is it? So people stop calling it global warming in order to stymie that argument. Look at that. That's not a bad week. Not a bad week. I'd suggest that you take the week off. Throw a sickie. And that is the official advice of LBC 97.3.
Negative.
It's 75 on Monday, 73 on Tuesday, a full sun, no cloud. Oh. Marvellous. Wednesday, 72 degrees and sunny, and Thursday, it's like more or less the same. Great. And you know who was of all the nights to do it? And when they announced this story last night, when I heard it for the first time last night, I thought, you might want to rethink this. Thousands of people were assembling in towns and cities across the country last night for a mass sleep out in protest against the bedroom tax and other welfare changes. Of all the nights that they could have picked this year, they picked one. I mean, they would have been floating away. Anybody take part in that last night? 0845 6060 973. If you did, let me know. Thousands of people assembling in towns and cities across the country. Well, they may have assembled and took a peek outside and thought, nah. It was coordinated street demonstrations which were called for in London and Edinburgh, Belfast, Cardiff, Liverpool, Manchester and Leeds. Those people will be floating out to sea. The government has reduced housing benefit to tenants with spare rooms and argues that a discretionary housing payment system will prevent those most in need from falling below the poverty line, you know, usual old guff. But I wonder how that demonstration went. Soggily, I bet. Now, it's 50 years since the I Have a Dream speech, one of the greatest speeches, the greatest, most moving and important speeches of all time. And in order to celebrate that, I'm just going to do a flippant radio show, the undercurrent of which will be, what is your dream? Now, it can be important, it can be trivial, it's completely up to you to decide, and the number is 0845 6060 973. What is your dream? And you can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @lbc973. The I Have a Dream speech, a public speech delivered by Martin Luther King Jr., as you know. It didn't happen yesterday. I mean, they had marches in Washington yesterday. Presumably that's because it's the nearest weekend day to the actual day, which is August the 28th, 1963. In which, as you presumably know, he called for an end to racism in the United States. It was delivered to about 250,000 civil rights supporters from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial during the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, and that speech was a defining moment of the American civil rights movement, one of the greatest and most moving speeches of all time. Presumably you have some sort of dream. Maybe it's a dream that you used to have that you have given up on. let me know. 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Yeah! Dude! The I Have a Dream speech is celebrating its 50th birthday. Well, it will on August the 28th, and I'm not expecting to be on that date. What is the day of August the 28th? It's a Thursday, right? I'll just assume that I'm right and carry on. What is your dream? 0845 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you are on Twitter, it is at lbc973. Poor Ed Miliband, his dream is to be popular, and it doesn't look like he's going to achieve that any time soon.
No.
Ed Miliband has suffered a new blow. A new blow. As a poll shows that the number of people who think he's doing a good job as Labour leader has fallen again. And you would think that it would have to be a zero, or like a minus now. His leadership was rated positively by only 21% of those who were surveyed. I wonder if those people actually understood the question. In September 2011, the figure was 34%. It just keeps getting worse and worse for Ed. Although the poll conducted by ICM gave Labour a slight lead, it was within the margin of error, and experts warned that... Experts? I wonder what the nature of their expertise is. Experts. I always get concerned whenever the word experts comes into a sentence, because I think, oh, blimey, these people won't have any idea what they're talking about. Do you know that experts are running the economy? I rest my face. In September 2011, the figure was 34%. 34% of the people who expressed a preference said that Ed Miliband was doing a good job. What happened in 2011? And what's happened since? Nothing, really. I think we've become accustomed to his face. All of it. And we thought... The poll conducted by ICM gave Labour a slight lead, however. Well, now, how does that come about? The leader of the party has never been more disliked, and yet the party itself would win if the election was held tomorrow. I am confused. You can call me Mr. Fide. The poll gave Labour a slight lead. It was within the margin of error. Experts warned that the Tories could retake the lead imminently if Mr Miliband's performance does not improve. Well, that rather implies that the Tories' fortunes have got nothing to do with what the Tories do. If Mr Miliband's performance does not improve, Tories could retake the lead. And unless Mr Miliband can become somebody else, you know, somebody less nasal and goofy-looking, I think that's a foregone conclusion. No offence. It was a poll of, here's that magic number again, it was a poll of about 2,000 people. They gave Labour a 32% lead over the Tories on 30. Not a 32% lead, but they're on 32%. The Tories on 30. Liberal Democrats are 16. And the UK Independence Party was on 12. Look out, Nick, the fruitcakes are catching you up. A series of senior Labour figures have recently questioned Mr Miliband's leadership for style. He's got a style, I had no idea. Andy Burnham, it should be a pop quiz. Andy Burnham. Anybody? Anybody at all? Andy Burnham? No, he is the Shadow Health Secretary. He looks like he needs a spa day. He's urged Labour to shout louder. Well, but that's not going to encourage people to fall in love with them. Shout louder. Very aggressive. Well, Peter Hain, John Denham, David Blunkett and Lord Prescott have also voiced concerns about the way the party gets its message across. And exactly how popular are they, by the way? Not really a stellar list of those who might take over, is it?
Negative.
No. I mean, which of those would you vote for? Peter Hain. I bet you couldn't pick him out of a lineup. John Denham. Who's he? David Blunkett, Lord Prescott, no thanks. The poll suggests confidence is particularly drained away from Mr Miliband over the summer, which is extraordinary for a politician. He can't get even more popular when he's not here. And that's usually when their popularity soars, when we see less of them. Martin Boone, director of ICM, the people that conducted this poll, compared Mr. Miliband's leadership to Ian Duncan Smith's spell in charge of the Conservatives. He said, if it carries on like this, it's hard not to think that we'll see Conservative polling leads very soon. Which is amazing, really. I mean, considering the state that the economy is in, you would think that we would act against the party that was in power. Maybe Nick is being used as a shield to deflect our ire. Maybe David Cameron took his top off in order to make us love him more. Ian Austin, the Shadow Work and Pensions Minister, wants Labour to push for an EU referendum. Oh, God, this again. Wants Labour to push for an EU referendum before the next election, or on the polling day in May 2015. May 2015, that's all we have to wait for the next general election. Isn't it exciting?
No.
No. David Cameron has pledged to hold a referendum by 2017 after renegotiating the relationship with Europe. And to be clear, let me just take a wild stab in the dark about this issue. None of the major parties is going to allow you to vote on the EU until they're absolutely sure that you will give them the answer that they want. And if they're dragooned into it, and they don't get the answer that they want, they'll ignore the answer that you've given them. I mean, does anybody doubt that that's true? Mr. Miliband's personal ratings are significantly lower than the Prime Minister's, but higher than those of Nick Clegg. 32% of voters said that David Cameron was doing a good job. 17% said that Nick Clegg was doing a good job. Poor Nick. And you'll be able to discuss that with him personally on Thursday morning at 9, LBC 97.3. It's the 50th anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech. What's your dream? It's called in Wales. It's very general. Can you be more specific, John?
Oh, hiya.
No,
I
is the answer.
think I have a dream too. I support Martin Luther King's vision. I'd like to see Britain out of debt, and the only way to do that is burning banks and bondholders instead of the public. I don't believe any of the polls.
Burning banks instead of the public?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't mean actually burning, do you?
Well, financially.
Yeah.
I think the welfare reforms are diabolical. It's absolutely terrible. It's like something out of the 1930s.
Now, whereabouts in Wales are you, John?
I'm in the Ammon Valley. It's an old mining town.
Well, then you'll be feeling the state of the economy particularly keenly.
Well, I bought this house here in 2008, and it was 46,000.
Wow.
For a house, 3-bedroom house with a garden.
Yeah.
And I have a double driveway, and it was up for auction at the third time.
How many bedrooms has that house got, John?
Three bedrooms.
3 bedrums, like a walk.
A bit of repair.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Needs refurbishment.
Yeah, it's actually now I've most of the work done except a few jobs and some decorating.
A 3-bedroom house for 46 grand.
Most of the houses here.
You can't get lunch in London for 46 grand.
No, there's if you look around property in Wales, you can pick up a house for 50,000.
Yeah. The only thing about that, John, is though that you would be living in Wales. And I say that as I am half Welsh. I'm not picking on Wales. I love Wales.
I'm Irish. No, the Welsh are fine. The thing is, they all went broke here after the mines were shut down.
Yeah.
And they haven't had boom and bust. So the economy is a little more steady and stable. And
is it? I didn't think there was much of an economy there.
It's getting better.
Is it?
There was a big economy here years ago when the copper was brought into Swansea to be smelted in Merthyr Tydfil. And
Merthyr what now?
The coal was dug up from the mines around here.
Yeah.
But my problem is I'm dependent on benefits, so I live a very poor lifestyle. There isn't much work, and I suppose that's the pluses and minuses, but I don't have the bank at my door for a mortgage, and I don't have a landlord knocking at me for rent.
Yes. You own your own house. Well, it's an enviable position to be in, John.
Yeah. Look, can I say something before I go? I'd like to see a general election. I don't think the country will make it till 2015 before it being in really serious trouble.
You know what? There'll always be something on TV. There'll be a Simon Cowell show will be on TV, and people will be distracted like a cat is distracted by a laser pointer.
The fact is, I would guess that there's about 80 to 100 Tory backbenchers like Edward Lee, who are probably true old visionary English people, and they'll actually bring the show to a halt rather than anything the Labour Party do. That's my prediction. That
Right.
The Tory backbench.
Have any of your predictions that you've made in the past come true?
I don't know. It's dreamland to me, hoping for the best.
Right. Okay, well, fingers crossed. Thanks a lot, John. 0845. And, any day now it'll stop raining in Wales. I guarantee it. Just for a couple of hours. 0845 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @lbc973. Oh, there was a big Barney, talking about Ed Miliband, there's a big Barney about political donors today. Huge, massive, enormous. I'll come to that in just a minute. Does anybody want to personally fund any of the political parties?
No.
No! Well, we might end up doing that. It's only money. We've got loads of it. The alternative is, of course, that the party, our major parties, are funded by evil, nasty, vicious people who are only working for themselves. I exaggerate to make a point. Am I exaggerating? I don't know, maybe not. I'll name them and shame them in just a minute. Here's a call in Tunbridge Wells. Hello, Mark.
Yeah, Nick, the thing about evil, nasty people, that's why you're talking about the church. You shouldn't be doing that to me. Boom, can't leave the stage. Listen, look, my dream, I have a dream that the Scots, and I hope they're listening, the Scottish people, please listen.
Here we
next year, listen, please. Next year, that they vote to leave the United Kingdom, join the European Union, join the Euro, join the Schengen Agreement, so that we'll have a border in their country, and then UKIP, United, get this, United Kingdom Independence Party, they have to say, oops, we didn't see that coming, Independence Party, because the jocks have gone off and...
Yeah, there'd be DUKIP, the disunited.
Yeah, so that will be it. So the Scots leave the United Kingdom, UKIP say, oops, we haven't seen that coming for the last 20 years, that the Scottish nationalists have got this incredible power base. So that'd be number one. The other dream, I keep going to the forest, Ashdown Forest, and if you ever go there, the view down to the south is incredible.
Well, if you go down to the woods today, you're in for a big surprise.
Yes, the most beautiful countryside, and my dream for the next 50 years, that's all going to remain the same, but it won't, it's all going to be built on, isn't it? Because that's all we're going to do.
All that beautiful flora and fauna.
It is so sad. Oh, the other thing, you were talking about the earthquake earlier on.
Yes.
When I lived in Folkestone in 2008, we had an earthquake. They called it an earth tremor, but the building that I lived in was about 4 stories high. The thing about the guy saying about a big truck going by, everyone came out of the building about 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, and you heard this bang, this incredible bang, and we all thought an HGV had hit the building, and we all ran outside, and everyone looked around and said, where's the lorry? Because that's what it sounds like. It's just like the building feels like it's made from cardboard. It actually twisted, and it feels like a big lorry going by. And then for a couple of hours, there's no electricity. Everyone went to Sainsbury's, couldn't get into Sainsbury's. There's no power, and so they won't let you in. And did you know, psychological? It was like the Stanford experiment. 2 women that work on the on the checkout. They stood there with 2 trolleys, wouldn't let anyone in, and then when they realised they had power, they started throwing their weight about. No, you can't do that. Or, no, what are you doing over there?
Wow. That was your immediate reaction? You dropped tools and a dash to Sainsbury's?
Everyone went to Sainsbury's. All the electric was out. You couldn't get food. People were starting to panic. There was going to be a riot in the street. Well, someone fell over a shopping trolley, but... the thing about private eye, you said about Andrew Neil the other night.
Yeah.
They still do that thing when, they do the picture of him with a young lady.
Mm-hmm.
They're still doing that.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. They're going to do that forever.
Should I go now? Otherwise it's going to turn into my show.
Exactly, Mark. You've said too much. You've delighted us enough. 0845 6060 973. Excellent call. Keep them coming. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @lbc973. For Anthony Davis, this is Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3 at 10:30.
This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Me love you long time.
I wonder maybe try and investigate something that I was mentioning last night that got absolutely zero response. So I'll try. If at first you don't succeed, give up. That's my motto. But in want of anything else that's on my tiny little mind, I'll try it again. What's the school run like? I keep reading reports about how stressful it is, and the people are, like freaking out on the school run. It's worse than going to work. It's actually more stressful taking your kids to school and being like a school-run mum, essentially that's what I'm talking about, than, getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and squeezing yourself into a tube on the Northern Line and putting your face in somebody's armpit on the way to work and then doing a job you don't like for people you hate for no money and then coming home. It's worse than that. That's what I keep reading over and over. Is that possible? Can that be true? Here's a call in Stratford. Susan, maybe she knows.
Hello again.
Susan.
Yes, well, like Mark, I've got a whole list of things which I would like to happen.
Right. Well, lay it on us, baby.
Okay. The first one was the last thing I thought of, but it's gone to the top of the list. Develop my spiritual life.
Develop your spiritual life?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, to know Jesus more and to pray more and live a better life.
Praying, yeah, that'll... does that work? Praying?
Yes.
Right.
The next one is to move and to sell up, because I'm not happy here.
Stratford, it's an up-and-comer.
Well, I've been here too long, and I want to move.
Right.
Okay. And I want a place with an aviary. But,
a place with a what?
An aviary for birds.
An aviary?
Or I'll keep chickens or something.
Oh, don't do it. Think of the neighbours.
Well, that's like, I have a plot of ground and it shouldn't affect them.
Right.
Right, well, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Something to keep me in London would be to get on a fashion course and develop my artistic side.
A fashion course?
Yes.
Right.
And I thought of doing menswear.
It's not a very secure business to be in.
No, well, I should have done it when I was 16 because I was accepted at an art college, but my mother wouldn't let me leave school. So, I might be having my villa in Ibiza if I'd have taken that line. Well,
who knows? Or you may have spent a life in penury. I mean, the amount of fashion designers that come and go with absolutely no success. It must be about as difficult making it in fashion as it is in acting.
Well,
I mean, people like Tom Cruise, for instance.
Stolen. I was quite good, actually.
Right, people like Tom Cruise, for instance, will say things like, "Oh, you see this time and again. Like a successful actor will be interviewed, and they say, "Well, you just keep following your dreams, kids, and you work hard, and eventually you'll make it." No, most people won't. But it's only the people that have made it that get interviewed to say such things. The 99% of the people that don't make it in acting or the showbiz realm, which I would say fashion is part of, they don't get interviewed and they don't make it.
Just stick to embroidery then.
Yeah, exactly. That's where the money is.
And the other thing, well, two more, if I may.
Yeah.
One is to be a singer and play the piano in a piano bar, and to solve the Diana mystery, because I'd like to see that settled once and for all, to know how she died and if there was any untoward intervention, of which I have met someone who seemed to have inside knowledge. So,
but if the mystery is ever solved, what on earth will the Daily Express put on their front page? It's going to be the weather every day.
Me on the front.
Exactly. Your new menswear line has gone global. Yeah.
No, that I solved the mystery.
Oh, right. Well, the best of luck with that, Susan. Thanks very much. 0845 6060 973. What is your dream? Some texts and emails. I have a dream that one day all rickshaws will be off the streets of London, says John. Let's have a wild stab in the dark and guess what John's occupation is. I'm going to guess that he is a black cab driver. Nick, I have a dream for world peace. I know it's possible. I'm just waiting for the rest of the world to know it too, says George. I think it's part of the human condition that we're just not built for peace. That's why we've become so successful. That's why we have spread across the planet like a virus. It's not because that we're... well, initially I think we became successful because of our ability to cooperate with each other. But once we, fought off the saber-toothed tigers and whatever else it was that was threatening our existence, then we looked at each other and thought, wait a minute, you're on my land. Or... I want your cave, or whatever. And we've been doing that ever since. I don't think that humankind is really set up for cooperation and peace when there's just so many of us. If there was just a couple, then we could probably live in perfect harmony. But there's more than a couple. There's, like, millions. There's loads of us. It's approximately... there's 6 billion, something like that. There's 5,999,900... Oh, I can't do the maths in my head. What's 6 billion minus 1? Whatever that number is, that's the amount of reasons there are for strife. I expect it for the rest of my life. Hemel Hempstead, hello, Robert.
Hi, Nick.
Robert.
Yeah, you were mentioning about the what my dream is.
Yes.
My dream would be the politicians accept a minimal pay wage, the state of the economy all of a sudden recovers, and the way of life suddenly gets a lot better.
What minimum pay would you set for your average politician?
Whatever the minimal pay wage is at the moment.
Oh, you mean actual minimum wage?
Minimum wage.
Well,
hypothetical, but...
Yeah, well, it's a nice idea, Robert. I'm not sure it'll catch on, because the very people that would enact such a thing would suffer from such a thing.
Yeah.
Put politicians on minimum wage. They would all scream, running to the exit. Then we'd see which ones are actually in it for the right reasons.
Exactly.
All right. Well, keep dreaming, Robert. Thanks a lot. 0845 6060 973. Put them all on minimum wages. And thrash them to sleep. Vote for me. And my dream is that my clever son would do something worthwhile with his life and not waste his potential as he is doing at present, says Liz. Failed to mention the name of your son, Liz. I bet he's not listening to this. I bet he's lolling about the place. Watching TV, or, I don't know, scratching himself, smoking bits of carpet, whatever kids do these days. This one says, my dream is to experience space tourism and visit other planets. I love space travel, and I wish to stay out of planet Earth for 2 years. What, you think by the time you come back after 2 years we're going to have solved anything? Things will be better? Stick around and help try to fix things up. This planet needs work, in estate agents' parlance. It's a fixer-upper. If you just leave and expect everybody else to do the work, then you won't be able to, you won't expect to enjoy the fruits of our labour when you get back. And on the subject of school runs, this message says, Nick, that doesn't make sense. If I'd have known... Oh, I'd have. Okay. I haven't seen that in a long time. If I'd have known about the school run before I had kids, I never would have had them. Wow, that bad. Well, there was this woman who was a part of that stupid You're Fired game on TV, and she said that school run... And pardon my language here, but this is a direct quote. School run mums are... and I hesitate to say it out loud, bitches. School-run mums are bitches. Because they've got nothing to do. And they fight with each other. This was after there was, like, a couple of school-run mums who got into a fight outside the school gates about, oh, blimey, I don't know. Who cares? And she said that that's why they are all so bitchy with each other, is because they've got nothing else in their lives. And they're all stressed out because they're trying to compete with each other, and I've got the best car, and look at my hair, and I've got nice shoes and all of that stuff. And they actually stress each other out to such an extent. It's so competitive outside the school gate that it's no wonder they start fighting with each other. That is what this woman said. I forget what her name is, but I refuse to watch that stupid show. Anyway, she was like an Australian, something like that. And then this article today. The school run, it says, has long been notorious for being as much about what mothers wear as getting children to lessons, with 3 out of 4 saying that approaching the school gate is more stressful than going to work. I don't think I'd bother, like, dressing. I mean, I wouldn't go, like, naked, because that would be illegal, but I don't think I think I'd buy pyjamas for the specific purpose of going on the school run. I don't even, like, do my hair when I go out to work. As the new school year draws closer, and it seems like not minutes after the summer holiday starts, back in July, evil shops are putting the back-to-school notices up in their windows. That always seemed to be the way as a kid. And you've got this hanging over you for the whole of the summer, knowing that you're going to have to go back there. Fortunately, I quite enjoyed school, and I enjoyed the preschool ritual of going out and buying pencils and such. Pencils and pencil cases and, rubbers and all that jazz, which would make the wife of the new Governor of the Bank of England very cross with me. And I'll come to that in just a minute. As the new school year draws closer, Google has reported a 40% increase in searches relating to this is the quote, this is what people are searching on, what mums should wear back to school. Who's got the time to Google that? Whose life is so bereft of anything else to think about that is what they're Googling? An article in the Sunday Times Style magazine has ratcheted up the pressure by revealing the underlying messages your clothes send to fellow mothers. It's nerve-wracking, Gillian Hornby, author of The Hive, a book about school gate cliques, told the magazine. People get quite fraught about it. But is this true? I asked this question last night and I got 0 response. I'm fully expecting the same response tonight. The school run has changed from what it was in previous generations, explains Birmingham City University psychologist Professor Craig. He says it's seen as being more hectic, and there's more vehicles on the road and more people driving to school rather than walking. It gives the psychological impression of being a more hectic period of the day. And according to London prep school mother Holly, a pair of muddy trainers means a meltdown is in progress. So in other words, every mother is like glancing up and down all of the other mothers and making inferences about what her life is like. And whether it's kind of like a soap advert. If you don't use this soap, you don't love your children. She says, what you wear says whether you want to get involved in school life, how happy home is. It's a huge deal. According to Style magazine in the Sunday Times today, a bouncy blow-dry worn with dark sunglasses says, don't talk to me. I'll have to remember that. While skyscraper heels tells fellow mothers that you can't be bothered to run after your child. Oh, I see. This is a silly article. Meanwhile, odd combinations such as bed hair and a cocktail dress suggest that you aren't holding things together well. Yeah, add that to add a bottle of vodka in one hand, and that's really sending out a message. A big bunch of prisoner cell block H keys suggests somebody who will be high up socially. It somehow says, I'm in charge of a pretty big empire with lots of doors and lots of cars. Yeah, either that or you're an engineering student. So is the school run as stressful as people are saying? What's that like? 0845 6060 973. And we're celebrating the anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech. What is your dream? Here's a call in Chertsey. Hello, Sandra.
Hello, Nick.
Sandra.
I had a dream. I had a dream. It was a 24-hour bank holiday dream, but it's come to nothing. So,
what does that mean?
Well, I entered some photos for the Egham Royal Show patron Prince Philip. He didn't open it. Philip Hammond does that round here. So I'd won one of the 3 photographic classes yesterday, which was pretty good because it's quite tough to win. And then
what was the photograph of, Sandra?
This particular one was 3. One was a shield bug. One was a flower, a rose, a spider, which you get on flowers devouring a little hornet type. And one was
a spider? And what was the other one?
I normally try to save them, but they've normally got them. And one was a bee all covered in honey on his back. He had all his lunch on it. It was all covered in it, but it works quite well.
And what was the first one that you said there?
A shield bug.
Right, what's that?
Well, I found it one day. It was in my hair. It was about midnight, and it was buzzing. I thought.
Do you have any idea what kind of a message that was sent to mothers on the school run if you had bugs in your hair?
No. It's red and green. It's fantastic. It's got it's coloured literally bright emerald green. It's very, very tiny, not much bigger than a clothes moth. I rang the Natural History Museum, the entomology department,
really?
and I said, nobody's seen it. They said, well, it must be all blind. There's plenty of those around. They live on hawthorn bushes and things.
You know,
Anyway,
this last week, it was the day or two when all of those flying ants come out. And it happens more or less this time every year on a warm, moist day. Suddenly the pavement is covered in little black flying things that you never see on any other day of the year. And it's impossible not to step and massacre
I know.
loads of them.
Absolutely. I was watching, there was a Kathy one day in Chertsey, and she shall we call the people? And I said, you don't need to worry. They literally die off overnight.
Yeah,
don't
that's
they?
right.
They're gone by the morning.
They covered the pavement on one day of the year, pretty much, and then they all expire. It doesn't seem like much of a life, really, does it?
Well, absolutely, especially if you get a great big footstep on you. Anyway, this was, I was really hoping that, I couldn't wait till today to see if I'd won this award for the best exhibit, the Dennis Shield, and I was late getting the show. I had to get myself there. I missed everything. I got to Egham, and I said to the cab driver, I said, if you hurry, we can catch the last 5 minutes of the sheep parade. Yeah.
The sheep parade?
And he was foreign. I don't think he knew what I was talking about.
No, well, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Must have thought you'd
yesterday-
lost your mind, Sandra.
Oh, I could do worse than that. Yeah, so anyway, we got there, I dashed in, I got the wrong arena, I got the dog agility, there was like a Labrador-coloured dog, lovely. They couldn't get him to go to the little green tunnel, the human tried to go through and show him, but he wouldn't. So anyway, I dashed off to the main arena, the sheep had paraded off, I watched half an hour of the birds of prey, you know, the usual owls, hawks, Yeah, I bet you haven't got this one, but yesterday they had a vulture.
That was a vulture.
A what?
That was a vulture.
Oh, sorry. And you know what they said? And I might sound a bit crazy, but they said that he couldn't. It was pouring with rain yesterday, and they said that he couldn't fly because he got soaked. And
What?
yeah, honestly,
Vultures can't fly in the rain.
They said because I believed it. They said because he got soaking wet, and they hoped that he would be able to. But I missed the first two. They repeat it during the day. It's over if anybody wants to go. It's not continued on Monday. And so I missed him today. I didn't see him. It was owls, hawks.
So anyway, what was the upshot, Sandra? What prize did you win?
Well, I didn't get. No, I went into the
nothing.
And I won a prize. Yes, I did win. I did win the 3 close-ups, which were the.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do, Sandra. And this is a one-time only offer. I'll split the prize with you 50-50. How does that sound?
It was £2.
Well, like I said, pop it in the post.
I was hit by a man who did 3 parts of a I'm trying to say mechanical, a Spitfire.
Yeah.
And
Wait a minute. This was something that was judged by a member of the royal family, and the prize was £2.
No, if anybody out there does these shows, I used to do baking. It's the prestige of winning. You know, you get £2, £1, 50p.
No.
It's not about the money.
Well, yeah, that's what they say in the city. It's not about the money. That's what they say in the banking circles in the city. It's about the prestige of winning. It's nothing to do with the money. That is what they say. No, it's the money, Sandra.
And to cap it all, there was a young girl looking at them, so I sort of went, hopefully. I was so disappointed, I couldn't even go and claim my £2 for a while. And I said to her, helpfully, that's mine. And she went, I prefer these 2 above here.
Oh. Well, that's just insult to injury.
But I did say want that, and I caught the chappie with it, and I sort of said, you've got my shield. I said, did you have to do a speech? And he sort of, he actually got it for 3 parts of a Spitfire. I said, that's a car, isn't it? Because it was showing Rolls-Royce, and of course that is a part of an aeroplane engine. It was actually judged by the Trinity Mirror Group, who...
say no more. The Trinity Mirror Group, they've got no end of money, and they gave you £2. Awful. Well, anyway, thanks a lot, Sandra, and congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
Cheers, my dear. 0845 6060 973. She was like a storm force, a tornado of verbiage. 084. I said that already. You can text 84850, email nick@lbc.co.uk, And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC973. There's, not only did those flying ants, and I only just recently discovered that that's what they are. They're ants that sprout wings, and then they fly about. And I had the most gruesome story about what happens. Let's get David Attenborough on the phone and he can explain it to us. But what happens to these ants is really quite horrendous. You can have your faith in me. I have detailed files.
Correct.
Britain's humid end to the summer has triggered an invasion of flying ants.
Oh, no.
The hot weather has led to the common black garden ant's annual summer mating ritual, which sees both queen and male ants grow wings before embarking on a nuptial flight.
Disgusting.
Billions... Billions of tiny winged, not millions, billions of tiny winged insects take to the skies after the ants emerge from nests nationwide over the last few days. It's been later than usual this year. The flying ants are sexually active males and females who've been waiting all summer for the perfect conditions to swarm. Warm, muggy, almost pre-thunderous weather. That's what they like. They love a bit of it. Once some ants begin to fly, other ants detect their chemical smell. Oh, the smell of it. Calvin Klein should bottle it. And they join them, with swarms often lasting all day. There's the thing, the things that you can't avoid stepping on because they're all over the pavement, making you an ant killer. Poor little ants. All they're after is some hot ant loving, and they get squashed to death underneath your flip-flops. The insects reproduce in their billions before the queens lose their wings and find somewhere to lay their eggs for a new colony as the males die. And how do you get how does she lose her wings, do you think? Have a wild stab in the dark. That's right, she bites them off. She bites off her own wings. It's a good job they're so small, because if they were 6 foot high, they would run the world. These eggs hatch into infertile female workers who will build their nest, forage for food, and guard their queen. Do you want me to read that list again? The females build the nest, forage for food, and guard the queen. That's right. The women do all the work. Over the winter, the colony becomes dormant. In the spring, the queen starts to produce fertile and winged females and males, and these are cared for by the workers until it's time for the next swarm. And like I said, it doesn't seem like much of a life, does it? I don't know why they bother. And about the same time, there was another kind of fly that I hadn't seen before. You know how irritating the black flies are, like house flies, black flies. Impossible to swat. They're just so very, very fast. But this new fly was slightly smaller and kind of green. And it's kind of like a ninja fly. It's like the Bruce Lee of the fly world. It made our ordinary black house flies look about as fast and evasive as cows. These things were unbelievable, and they seem to be in pairs, almost like like pigeons, like they mate for life. And they attack in pairs, and they're the kind of flies that you just can't get rid of, because and I was sitting there eating my food, minding my own affairs, and one started attacking me, and I was unawares. And so you swipe your hand, and it must think we're the most lumbering, dopey old things. You swipe your hand at it, and it just takes off at the very last minute, just does a small loop around your hand and lands right back where it was before. It's so annoying. Meanwhile, its mate is sneaking up on you from behind. I've never been so attacked by flies in my life. Kind of little green, sort of iridescent things, like they've got armour on. They kind of look as though if you could swat them, and I did try very hard, it was utterly impossible. And they don't fly away when you swipe like, vaguely in their direction. They wait until the very last moment when you're almost hitting them, and then they disappear as though, I don't know, well, they're mocking me. So, can anybody explain that? Get the Natural History Museum on the phone. Dreams by text and email. My dream is to have no more nightmares, says Mark in Penge. No pizza just before bed, Mark. I have a dream to have dinner with me. Well, dream on, Kate. And my dream would be able to set up my own business manufacturing decent quality clothes and shoes in this country, says Danielle via email. Well, you go, girl. 0845 6060 973, text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's at lbc973. We are discussing all of the most important issues, like flies that just won't stop, and there's the most fantastic story about a woman who went on the BBC to complain about lads' mags. Did you hear about that? Well, I won't be able to contain myself. I'll tell you that after the news. And we'll get into party donorship. Donors, is that a word? Well, you know what I mean. Party donor ring. And I'll continue with the I Have a Dream.
Nick Abbott.
Are you trying to be funny? Because I'm all out of laughs.
Yeah, you know the new governor of the Bank of England? He has a wife, and his wife is giving us advice on how to save money. His thrifty wife is recycling pencils. How can you recycle a pencil? And reusing ring binders for when their 4 daughters start at their fee-paying schools next month. Diana Carney, that is her name. She's no stranger to economy and has in the past extolled the virtues of reusable wrapping paper and repurposed jam jars. And she's criticised the wastefulness of air conditioning. She says her girls are scarred for life by her insistence that nothing in the house is wasted. Mark Carney, he is the new governor of the Bank of England. He appears perfectly happy to adopt some economies. He arrived for his first day at the Bank of England by tube. And his staff say he is still very much a tube guy when he is not required to read large files on the way to work. He even has an Oyster card. Because, as his spokesman points out, as an economist, he understands that that's the most economical way to travel. Oh, please. Anybody believe that the new governor of the Bank of England is going to be travelling to work by tube frequently?
No.
It'll be a PR stunt on his first day. Previously, Diana Carney has attracted notice for attacking the overuse of tea bags, causing unnecessary paper waste. I think you may be taking it a bit too far. She's raised eyebrows with her views attacking inequality and consumerism, saying that having more stuff does not make us happy. And the article goes to point out that this is hardly a philosophy that runs far in the city of London. Yeah, like I was saying earlier on. It's not about the winning, it's about the money. Since Mark Carney, I'm talking about economical way of living. Since Mark Carney took over at the Bank of England, the family have moved into a North London Victorian house with 5 bathrooms at an estimated cost to the taxpayer of, guess how much rent per month we pay on their house. Just have a wild stab in the dark. That's right, £11,000 a month. £11,000 a month. Her husband's pay package could reach £874,000 a year. And she's talking about recycling pencils? I think she does protest too much. But there was another thing about saving money as well. Now, where might I have put that? Oh, I've got so much paper. Hang on a minute. It was about the cost of taking luggage on a plane. And somebody suggested an excellent way to get around that, which I'm finding it hard. Oh, there we go. Is it right under my nose? Yes. Airline baggage fees from the likes of Ryanair are now so high that it can be cheaper for holidaymakers to use a specialist courier. I'd never even considered that. For while Ryanair would charge £35 to put a standard 20-kilogram suitcase in the aircraft hold on a one-way flight to Malaga, that's got to be more expensive than the ticket for the actual person that's sitting in the cabin. There's a courier firm called Send My Bag, which would do it for £6 less. This means that a family of 4 could save £48 by sending their luggage by courier to their holiday destination and back, rather than taking it on a plane. Well, the whole world's gone crazy. Research by Which found that Ryanair would charge £500 to put a set of golf clubs in the hold on a return flight to Malaga. There's another excellent reason not to play golf. However, the courier company would transport the same set of clubs door to door for 140 quid, saving £360. Which magazine said that Ryanair is not alone in imposing punishing fees for carrying large items of holiday luggage. It found that 4 of the 5 luggage couriers it checked were cheaper to transport a 30-kilogram golf bag to Spain than Jet2, Monarch or Thomson Airways. Why would you go on holiday and do something as irritating as golf? Isn't it supposed to be relaxing? Having said that, though, I would, if I had to choose to be great at something, it would be golf. Can you imagine making your living in a better fashion than being a golfer? The Which spokesman said it's surprising that it can work out hundreds of pounds cheaper to get sports gear chauffeured to your destination rather than putting it in the hold. That sounds great. Just give somebody your luggage at your own front door, and then you can walk out with, no luggage. That sounds a brilliant way to get to the airport, doesn't it? They said it's worth checking out the prices of couriers before booking your plane tickets, but it will require a bit more forward planning, as most couriers need to pick up your bags a few days before departure. It's estimated that airlines around the world make approximately, £23 billion every single year from upsells and additional fees for extra luggage allowance. The increasing cost of taking luggage on planes has led to a soar in the use of couriers. SendMyBag.com has seen the amount of luggage it transported increase by 400% on last year's figures, and now delivers to 50 countries around the world. So that and the Bank of England's new governor's wife suggesting unusual ways to save money. Since the economic catastrophe rolled over us like money tsunami, have you come up with any unusual, interesting, off-the-wall ways to save money? 0845 6060 973. Here's calling Ilford. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Nick. What a bonus to have you on this bank holiday Sunday night.
Thanks, Michael.
You're welcome. I've come, hopefully, with an answer to your problem with our little flying friends.
Oh, yeah, those green ninja flies.
Absolutely. The reason you can't swat them and catch them is because they've got eyes on their backs and they take off backwards as you approach them.
Eyes on their backs?
Yeah.
Not on their heads?
Well, they've got them all over.
They're covered with them.
Something like that.
But they also are much quicker. It's not just that they can see you coming. They move much more, what's the word? Sort of more agile, more precise and direct than if you compare them to the common black housefly, which it just looks kind of lazy and inexact in its movements.
I wonder what medication they're on to be able to do that.
Maybe it's the medication I'm on. Maybe they don't exist.
Whatever it is, I'd like to get my hands on some.
Yeah, I know. I'll have a couple of pints of that.
Groovy.
Thanks a lot, Michael.
However, there is one other
there's
thing,
more.
if I may, Nick.
Yes?
The cure to get them, always, every time, there is a certain well-known aerosol product on the market, which I'm not allowed to mention the name of.
Yeah.
Once you hit them with it, they've had it. Within 2 minutes, they are paralysed and drop out the air.
Oh, poor little flies. Well, if it does that to them, what's it doing to us?
Nothing to us.
Well, is that what it says on the can?
Just keep downwind of it, that's all.
Yeah, and move house immediately you use it. All right, thanks a lot, Michael. 0845 6060. Oh, hang on. That's my dinner backing up on me. I spared you the sound of it. You're welcome. 0845 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and Twitch tweet @lbc973. It's the 50th anniversary, or it will be on the 28th of this month, of the I Have a Dream speech. What is your dream is among the things I'm asking about. And This one says, Nick, I had a dream that I won £80 million on the Euro lottery. It's a recurring dream that I have every Friday, but it never comes true, says Ron. Well, I think I'm in the list ahead of you, Ron. I must have been playing that game more frequently than you. And every week, I don't know, I must have lost my mind. When I buy the ticket, I do actually believe I'm going to win. Is that just the case with everybody, or is it just me? I feel so stupid. I open my email account the next day, expecting them to announce that they have good news about my ticket. And every week I am disappointed. Never mind, hey, it's only money. Whitechapel, hello, Alfred.
Hello, Nick, how are you, sir?
Good, thanks.
I was just saying, you're talking about the school business. My ambition is to win the Grandad's Egg and Spoon race back home, because I've got a new grandson now. Well, he appeared out of the blue 6 years ago, because I only had granddaughters up till then, but now the family name will continue.
Egg and Spoon, are you still allowed to have an Egg and Spoon race for health and safety reasons?
Well, I'm going to suggest it, because I reckon I'll win it. Because, what's the fastest animal over 100 yards in the world, Nick?
The fastest animal over 100 yards is a pigeon.
No, that's not an animal, is it, Nick?
I think a pigeon is an animal, yes.
All right, I'm talking about in terms of, if something with 4 legs.
Oh, a 4-legged animal, right, like a mammal, you mean?
You're pulling my leg again, aren't you, Nick?
Is it a greyhound?
No, it isn't.
No, is it,
And it's not a cheetah.
Not a cheetah.
A cheetah, over a long distance, the cheetah is the fastest animal on the planet over 100 yards is a lion.
A lion?
Each time you've turned round and to run away, it'll have you. Over 100 yards, and that's me. I'm the fastest old get in
I've never heard such a load, and I mean this with the greatest respect, I've never heard such a load of old rubbish in all my life. The fastest animal over 100... No, the fastest animal over 100 metres is somebody being chased by a lion.
You know what? I can't be...
Or how about one of them, like racehorses?
Oh, yeah.
They're quite quick.
Don't tell me about racehorses. Yeah. But, the other thing is, golfing, you talk about golfing. My hometown is knee-deep in golf courses. And I've never been on one. But you know something? When I left home, I lived in Birkdale. Now, the nearest golf club is Royal Birkdale, believe it or not. Do you know something? I was only thinking, with hindsight, and spectator sees more of again, since I come to London, if I'd have joined a blooming golf club, I would never have needed to have left home. You know what I mean? I can see it now. I could, because we didn't actually see eye to eye. I mean, we got to the mortgage page and the children. No,
I don't think people who have an accent as you do, Alfred, are allowed on golf courses, are they?
Well, the thing is, there's varying degrees. There was the Old Links, which was like, it was only a 9-hole, but you went round it twice. But all the other ones, like Royal Birkdale, Hillside, Formby Golf Club, you've got to have...
Well, they definitely won't let it. Formby, maybe, but the rest of them, if it's got Royal in the name, I think you'll be allowed to carry the bags and be quiet.
Oh, yeah,
but apart from that...
That was one of the moves in the old days.
I can't think of a better way of making money than being a professional golfer, can you? Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, be a caddy to one.
Because you don't have to be fit in any way, shape, or form. You don't have you don't have to work out. You don't get any injuries, and you can play it until you're 100.
Well, I think
there's no other professional sport that is like that. Any other professional sport that you can think of, and of course, darts is not a sport, despite what the sports channels will try to persuade us. Not a sport, pastime. Any professional sport, people are done playing it when they're about 30, there or thereabouts. Golf, on the other hand, you can be 60, 70 years old and still play it professionally.
The power of positive thinking, Nick.
The power of positive thinking?
That's what Gary Player, he was a South African golfer, and he hit the big time once or twice, and he said he believed in the power of positive thinking. And you've got to do that.
No, I don't like the sound of that.
Hey, Nick, I don't think you... What do you play? Do you play Tiddlywinks or something like that?
Yeah, with myself, but that's another issue. Thanks a lot, Alfred. 0845 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's at lbc973. For Anthony Davis, Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
Text 84850, tweet at LBC973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
I am not one of your fans!
Well, don't sit on the fence. Tell me what you feel. 0845 6060 973. It's the 50th anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech. What's your dream? You must have a dream of some sort. 0845 6060 973. I'm asking what the school run is like as well. There's various reports from various people that say it's incredibly stressful, much more so than actually going to work. What is the life of a school run mum like? A school run mum. What's that like? And what else have we been talking about? What else have we been talking about? Oh yes, have you found ways to save money that perhaps other people may not have thought of, or that are unique to you recently, that you have come up with ways of saving money due to the dreadful circumstance in which we are living, in which most of us are living. You know, we're all in this together and blah, blah, blah. The phone number 0845 6060 973. There was the most fantastic story. I wish I'd seen this, I really would. Maybe it's available on the World Wide Web. I bet it's on YouTube. And it didn't get reported in many papers. I found it squirreled away on the inside of the Express, I think it was. And it's got a picture. Look at that! Yesterday the BBC said that a technical malfunction was the reason that a close-up of an anti-smut campaigner's cleavage appeared live on the air.
Oh, no.
Yes. Kat Banyard of the UK feminist pressure group was talking on BBC Breakfast about the Lose the Lads mags campaign aimed at stopping the sale of magazines featuring topless modus. And at the end of the interview, the camera panned down and focused on her boobs. Viewers quickly took to Twitter to complain about the incident. One wrote, "Disgusting. Disgusted and sickened," for trivialising Kat Banyard's interview this AM by zooming in on her chest at the end. Can you believe it? Mass sackings all round. Bonuses for the executives. A BBC spokeswoman said Kat was... and I bet they had a little meeting before they decided it was going to be a spokeswoman, too. A BBC spokeswoman said Kat was interviewed live from our London studio. As the segment ended, we cut to the wrong camera. They said...
I am very sorry that I screwed up. Totally I mean, I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I'm sorry.
They said the camera was actually levelled for the presenters being sat on the sofa, which is why the lower half of the screen was in shot and blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, talk about... I mean, you've got to have a sense of humour, ain't you? Came on to be an anti-smut campaign, and the interview finished by the camera lowering down to focus on her boobs. Well, that's absolutely priceless. Look it up on the World Wide Web. Maybe it's there. 0845 6060 973. Is anybody remotely interested in anything I'm saying?
No.
Look at that switchboard. Good grief. Bereft. Never mind, don't worry about me, I'll just carry on regardless. It's not like these are difficult questions, ladies and gentlemen. You have a dream. What is it? 0845 6060 973. Have you found any ways of saving money that you would like to pass on? 0845 6060 973. What else have I got? How about this? Party donors. Education Secretary Michael Gove has accused Ed Miliband of threatening to impose a £40 million milli tax. That's the phrase they've come up with. A milli tax on voters by forcing them to pick up the bill for running Britain's political parties. Mr Gove says Miliband's recent call for a ban on political donations of more than £5,000 from individuals would inevitably lead to state funding for the Conservatives, Labour and the Lib Dems. And he argues that Miliband's proposals is primarily designed to deflect attention from the row over the way that Labour is bankrolled by unions such as Len McCluskey's Unite. And you know what? If my party were bankrolled by banking racketeers and weapons manufacturers and the oil giants and the like, I don't think I'd make such a din about the issue, but, I'm not an expert like Michael Gove. Mr Gove is increasingly seen as a possible successor to David Cameron as Tory leader. Yeah, you're right, because he's so telegenic. Is he kidding? He claims that Mr Miliband is trying to revive plans by the last Labour government to introduce state funding of political parties. The last Labour government, it was run by... He was very disappointed with us. What happened to him, by the way? And does anybody care?
No.
He claims Miliband trying to revive plans by the last Labour government to introduce state funding of political parties. He says there are few dirtier monetary transactions than politicians agreeing to pick the pockets of people poorer than themselves, to fund activities which should be supported voluntarily, writes Mr Gove in the Mail on Sunday. And one of those few dirtier monetary transactions is taking money from evil corporations whose sole thought is to further enrich themselves at the cost of those poor people. That's what I think, but what do I know? He says hard-working people pay enough tax, but if Ed Miliband gets his way, you'll be forced to pay for him. And you know what? I think the people who don't work that hard pay enough tax too, but it seems that the group the Tories are most keen on paying less tax are those earning over £150,000 a year. I think you're on shaky ground here, Mr Gove. The Tories say that the £40 million milli tax is based on the 2011 Kelly review of party funding, which said that a £10,000 cap could lead to a shortfall of more than £20 million a year in party funding. They say that would double under Mr Miliband's £5,000 tax cap. £5,000 cap, rather, on, the donations that individuals are allowed to bung a party. A milli tax is what they're calling it. Oh, they must have hugged themselves when they thought that one up. Milli tax! I think the holidays have given them all too much time on their hands. Mr Gove's milli tax jibe will be seen as an attempt to counter damaging Labour attacks on the Tories over the so-called bedroom tax and other controversial levies dubbed the granny tax and the pasty tax. Do you ever get the feeling that we're being run by children?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Miliband says that the £5,000 cap is vital to stop rich Tory supporters making donations of tens of thousands of pounds to gain access and influence in the Conservative Party. Really? What, people that donate money to a political party are doing so not out of the goodness of their heart, but because they want something back for it? I can't believe it. Cameron has suggested a £50,000 cap on donations. Yes. I mean, £50,000 doesn't seem much to David Cameron, of course. It's the sort of amount that one might spend on a celebratory luncheon. I'll have a Methuselah of Krug and a plate of that Wagyu beef, please. A Labour official said the Tories have plucked the figure of £40 million from the air. The public is appalled by the way the rich can buy their way onto the top table of the Conservative Party. And there doesn't seem to be much that appalls the public, really. I think most of the time nobody really seems to care about anything. Oh, well, mustn't grumble. But it might come down to it. We might end up paying, personally, for the running of our political parties. And it seems that they can't get by on less than 40, 50, 60 million pound a year. I think that they probably could if they would be paying for it for themselves. But that is what we're looking at now. Would that be a better way? Would that be a way to clean up politics, to remove the potential untoward bunging of money for influence? Would you be happy to pay for our political process? 0845 6060 973. Well, add that into the mix and see what I get. I'm fully expecting nothing. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's at lbc973. For Anthony Davis, this is Nick Abbott. It's 11:30.
This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Please hold the line. I'm trying to connect you.
Yes, here's a call in Soho. Hello, Chris.
Oh, hi there.
Chris, hello there.
Yeah, I'm calling about your fly problem.
Yes.
Well, I sort of figured out, I don't know, first time I got one of those vacuum cleaners with the sucky tube on the end.
Mm-hmm. They usually come with that, yeah. That's the nature of a vacuum
I think
cleaner.
They did from about 40 years ago, which is probably when I discovered this. And if you've got the flies flying around the switched-off light in the afternoon, why they do that, I don't know.
Why do they do that?
I don't know. I'm sure someone will tell you. But maybe they're just bored and they can't find the kitchen. But anyway, if you sneak up on them with the sucky end of the vacuum tube, you've got to get, say, within about 1.5, 2 inches of them, and then woof, they're gone.
Yeah, but that's the part that's the hard part. Getting within.
No, it just takes a little bit of practice.
Right.
Honestly, I've been doing it for decades. Now I reckon I can clear up 4 or 5 flies in under 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, Chris, I'll put you on.
I'm not obsessive about it. I do it, 2 or 3 times in the summer.
I'll put you on speed dial, and as soon as I have a problem, I'll let you know.
And I got one for mosquitoes too.
Really?
Yeah, put a glass of Jack Daniels, but when you're overseas, where there are mozzies, put a glass of Jack Daniels by the bed, and they'll all go for a drink, and you won't get touched.
Well,
I discovered that about 50 years ago.
That works, does it?
I've never been bitten by a mosquito.
Well, some people don't get bit.
I know, I'm one of those too.
Right, they love me.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, just a glass of JD by your bed.
Right. Well, of course, you could just drink the JD, and then you wouldn't mind getting bit so much.
Well, no, I wouldn't go for that. Because when you're abroad, it's a lot cheaper anyway.
Well, that's where you and I part company, Chris. Thanks a lot, mate. 0845 6060 973. It's the 50th anniversary this week of the I Have a Dream speech. What dream do you have? This message says, my dream is to dance with the Royal Ballet. Want to give him a ring for me, says Emma. I'll call him up straight away, Emma. Nick, dreams are useless. All dreams are useless. All fantasies. Why don't they give us useful information like lottery numbers or racehorse winners, says Paul. Well, as soon as they invent a time machine, Paul, I'll let you know. I Have a Dream is 50 years old this week. What dream do you have? 0845 6060 973. Have you found ways of saving money lately? The wife of the Governor of the Bank of England says we should save money by reusing pencils. I can't imagine what she means by that. And buying paper ring binders instead of plastic ones so they don't go into landfill. And reusing jam jars and so on. Here's a woman whose husband is earning the best part of £1 million a year and has been put up in a house that costs us 11 grand a month. And she's saving money. So if she's doing it, we can do it too. Pass on your tip. 0845 6060 973. It's about to get worse. Our financial situation is about to get worse because we are going to be invited to pay for our various political parties. If Ed Miliband gets his way and has what the Tories are now gleefully calling a Millie tax. And it might stop things like this. It might stop people looking askance at things like this. A company that builds wind farms donated hundreds of thousands of pounds to the Conservative Party, months after being awarded a £4.5 million government grant, official records show. It's a company called Offshore Group Newcastle and will be given the money from the Business Department's Regional Growth Fund to build a new plant to produce steel foundations for wind turbine generators. The grant was announced by the department in October 2012. The Regional Growth Fund was at the time overseen by Mark Prisk, a Conservative minister. Electoral Commission records show that in the 8 months before the grant was announced, the company OGN and one of its directors made donations totalling £49,000 to the Conservative Party. In the year that followed the grant, the company donated a further £298,000 to the Conservative Party. And the Tory source insisted that the events were unconnected, saying the Regional Growth Fund is doing a lot of investment in the North East. Well, they may well be unconnected. There may be nothing untoward happening whatsoever, but the public will look at it and think, And they may be wrong when they do that, but it's not going to stop them thinking, This Mr. Timerko, who is running this company, is a former top executive of Yukos, the Russian oil giant. Its chief, Mikhail Khodorkovsky, is the political opponent of Russia's Vlad the Insaner and was jailed by a Russian court in May 2005. In total, he has donated a total, two uses of the word total in the same sentence. Terrible use of the English language. In total, he has donated a total of £208,500 to the Tories, while his company has donated £139,655. Neither had donated to the party before 2012. 2012, by the way, as you'll remember at the beginning of this story, was the date in which it was announced that a grant of £4.5 million would go from us, essentially, to a company that was going to make the bits for windmills. OGN also makes frames for oil and gas platforms, is owned by a parent company based in the British Virgin Islands. Oh, so lovely there, I imagine. A spokesman said, OGN operates as a UK company and pays taxes in accordance with UK taxation legislation. I've heard that phrase so many times lately, over and over and over. Mr. Timerko was one of 12 Tory donors who attended private dinners with the Prime Minister and the Chancellor and the Home Secretary this spring, making donations of over 50 grand to the Conservative Party. That's how much it costs to have dinner. None of this sounds very good, does it? I'm sure that nothing untoward has happened and all these donations are unconnected in any way with any favours that the government is handing out. But it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good to a public who are not best disposed to our political process in the first place. The figures also showed that Rosemary Saeed, the wife of Syrian-born billionaire Wafiq Saeed, donated 100 grand to the Tories in June. Her husband, who lives in Monaco, was a key figure of the Al-Yamamah arms deal between Saudi Arabia and Britain in the 1980s. And a business department spokesman said, nothing to see here, please move along. Actually, they said, all bids to Regional Growth Fund are stringently evaluated against the objectives of creating sustainable employment, rebalancing the economy and delivering value for money, and are independently assessed by an advisory panel headed up by Lord Heseltine. Absolutely committed to transparency and adherence to due process in every application for public funding. Wow, what a sentence! That was one whole sentence. A Conservative Party spokesman said all donations to the Conservative Party are fully and transparently declared to the Electoral Commission and published on their website. Meanwhile, figures released by the Electoral Commission also showed that donations to UKIP doubled in the last quarter to 160 grand. British politics. It's the finest system money can buy. And if we remove all of that, and in doing so remove any suspicion that favours are being given for donations, then we're going to have to pay for it. How does that sound? 0845 6060 973. St Albans, hey, Ricky, you're so fine. You're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Nick, how you doing?
All right, thanks.
Nick, I heard you talking earlier about flies.
Yeah.
These new ones, these ones with like the green upholstery on them.
They're green, yeah, they're sort of greeny bluey.
Yeah. They are kamikaze flies.
Well, they're not, because that suggests that they would charge at you to their death. But the opposite is true. They're not kamikaze flies. They're ninja flies, Ricky.
Well, we must have a different type of fly up here, then.
Well,
because no matter how hard you wave them away,
yeah,
or threaten them with a bottle of fly spray,
yeah,
they sort of fly off, do a U-turn, and come flying back at you twice.
Exactly.
I think they're a danger to Public health.
Yeah, well, I agree. I mean, I was swatting at them so hard, I almost knocked over a bottle of red wine.
Oh, now that could be dangerous.
Oh, yeah, that could be disastrous.
Yes, definitely. Especially if you were drinking it at the time.
Well, yes, and drinking it on a sea of cream carpet. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
Mm.
But they're not
Another one
kamikaze because they have no fear of death, because we can't get anywhere near them to land a killer blow.
Well, there must be a way somehow. Can't we capture one and alter its genetic makeup?
We could capture one and torture it until it tells us its secrets. Yeah.
If we could genetically alter them, though, perhaps they would just breed once and then die off.
Well, here's what I think. I have a dream. I have a dream that somebody, and I've always felt this for the longest time, that, you know those laser pointers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that somebody should invent one that's just strong enough to burn the wings off flies. Now, I'm sorry if this sounds cruel, but I really mean this. It won't actually set fire to your curtains, but you could just swipe it across the room, and it wouldn't be in a point. It would, like, fan out. You know, like when you go and see Pink Floyd, they have those lasers that fan out. That fan out.
Groovy.
Yeah, like one of those. You could just swipe it across the room and burn the wings off any flies that happen to be irritating you, but not, explode your television while you're doing it.
What about the horsefly? You ever been bitten by one of them?
I've ever been bitten by a horsefly. Well, no, I've seen an animal fly, and I've seen a house fly, but I've never seen a horse fly, or however that song goes.
Have a look on Google.
No, I definitely won't be doing that.
Find it, because I tell you, they are fearsome.
Well, I'll look it up on YouTube.
And I've had a dream.
I can't wait to hear it.
Well, it's more of a nightmare. I keep getting recurring nightmares about the same thing. Do you think I'm paranoid?
Well, it depends. It depends whether people are actually out to get you. What's the dream about, Ricky?
Oh, all sorts of horrible things.
Well, like what? Like witches eating your feet?
No, not quite.
Right. Have I shed too much?
Awful, though.
What is it? Like what?
Well, just nastiness.
Nastiness, right.
Mm.
Well, I recommend not going to sleep. Have you tried not going to sleep?
I've tried and tried. But you have to drop off sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, that's true. How about buying one of those lavender pillows? Oh, you'd be fantastic smelling of lavender, Ricky.
It might attract the flies.
Well, that is true, yeah.
I'd be a flower then, wouldn't I?
Well, you'd smell sweeter, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're right there.
Thanks a lot, Ricky. 0845 6060 973. You have a dream? Pass it on. You have a way to save money? Pass that on. What else? Oh, yeah, you are interested in donating money to run a political party. It's not going to cost a little bit of money. It's going to cost a lot. Labour received just over £60 million in donations. The Tories have taken £45 million, and this is since the general election of 2010. Labour's biggest donor by far is Unite, which has provided 20%, or almost £11 million of party donations since the election. Unite's the country's biggest union with about 1.42 million, that's very precise, about 1.42 million members. And the automatic levy they pay is worth £3 per person to Labour. Unite says it's given Labour £8 million in fees over the last 3 years. So this means that ordinary working people, almost 1.5 million of them, are Labour's biggest backers. But Unite's General Secretary Len McCluskey doubts that members would pay the fees if they were optional. He said that Mr Miliband was taking a gamble in proposing to abolish affiliation fees. I can't believe that you still have to opt out. You don't have to opt in. You still have to. That sounds like something that Maggie Thatcher would have dealt with a long time ago. Opting in, not out. He said, Len McCluskey from Unite, he said, if Miliband's ideas come to fruition, well, we won't be affiliating 1 million members to the Labour Party, which costs us £3.25 million a year. We'll be affiliating as low as 50,000. And 50,000 affiliated members would be worth 150 grand to Labour, which would be 450 grand over the 3 years, which is big far cry from the £8 million that Unite has handed over in the last 3 years. Does Ed realise what he's doing? I'm going to send him a calculator in the post. Company donations make up 3% of donations to the Labour Party. 3%. So it does seem like a more equitable way of funding a party if it's just individuals. And only 3% of donations come from companies, the largest of which is Saatchi & Saatchi, which donated about £250,000 worth of advertising since the election. Individual donations, meanwhile, bring in about 7% of Labour's funding. That is over and above what the unions give. The 30-odd million quid that Labour receives from the unions isn't actually too far off the amount that the Tories get from individuals. And which would you prefer? Individual donations to the Conservative Party account for almost 30 million quid, or 62% of the party's donations. 62% of the Tory party's donations come from individuals, whereas 7% of Labour's do. There's a sentence left hanging in the air. 7% of Labour's do. Individual donations to the Conservative Party, 30 million quid, or 62% of donations. And the party has been given almost 1,400 individual donations since the election. And Labour's only clocked up 230. So it seems on the face of it that the Labour Party is the voice of many people, and the Conservative Party is the voice of a relatively few number of people. Donors who drop more than 50 grand are invited to the Conservative Party's leaders group and get to meet David Cameron and other senior Tories at dinners, lunches, drinks and important campaign lunches. I like lunch. That does seem a bit strange, doesn't it? That this is the sort of thing that we allow. I mean, you would expect it in America, but here, if you give 50 grand, then you get to have dinner with Dave. 61 people have made the one-off donation for this honour. But the party has received another 141 donations of more than £50,000, with people donating 2, 3, 4 or more times. The biggest individual donor to the Conservative Party, Michael Farmer, who's made 8 donations totalling over £2 million. He's the Conservative Party co-treasurer. He founded the hedge fund RK Capital Management and made his fortune in the international metal markets. And the Tories' second largest donor since the election is property multi-millionaire David Rowland, responsible for the party's single largest donation since the election of almost £1,300,000. And then the wife of the billionaire who was at the centre of the Jonathan Aitkins arms scandal, who's donated almost £1 million. And then South African-born mining magnate, and then a hedge fund boss, and so on and so on. Now, I'm not affiliated to any political party. If there was a box that said none of the above, I'd tick it. But it does, on the face of it, look as though Ed Miliband is onto a relative winner here. If we start to contrast and compare how the various parties make their money, Labour's looks better. It looks as though they're getting more money from a wider variety of people, none of whom are, or very few of whom are millionaires and billionaires, whereas the reverse is true of the Conservative Party. So no wonder they're starting to freak out at the Tory party at the very idea that there should be a cap on donations. Miliband has said it would be £5,000. Here's a call in Ongar. Hello, Doris.
You said about a dream. Have you got a dream?
Yes.
Well, I've got a dream, and I hope one day it'll be reality, actually. I've got a dream that one day Cameron will come to his senses while he's in here to build national health care homes, because my granddad went in one years ago, so that people who've paid for the house all their life, with all their precious possessions, that he makes them sell and the home to go into a care home. So that would be, one day I hope it'll be a reality.
Well, he said that...
Because they do it in Scotland. We pay our money to Scotland so they don't lose their houses. But they still do it over here. They're still doing it.
They seem to get a
I
pretty
even had
good.
with pickles,
They seem to get a pretty good deal in Scotland. They get free prescriptions. They get free eyewear. Do they get free eyewear? They get free kilts and deep-fried Mars bars and anything you can imagine. It's all free, Doris.
Yeah, no, we do pay a certain amount of money to them so it can be free for them. That's why I do know that.
Well, it's not. That's not the way that they would describe it. But anyway,
Well, it's definitely is.
They would say that the reverse is
That's
true.
why they don't want to be independent.
No, they do. Well, some do, some
Well,
don't.
some do, some don't.
Yeah.
Yes, but a lot of them don't want to be independent. So that means that because they know they wouldn't get the money off of us.
Well,
So
they would say that. They would suggest. Many would suggest that it's the other way around. That they are subsidising us.
No,
with the North
they're
Sea
not.
oil and.
Oh well, yes, we know about the oil, but
Yeah.
I mean, no, not. But
Well,
I mean,
it's more off their land than it is on ours. Off
but
ours.
it would be. My granddad went into a beautiful one in the 1950s. I know, but it was like a 4-star hotel. It was a fantastic place. It was up Cedars Hill, right up to near Clapham Common.
Oh yeah.
And he was in his 90s, and he could have gone in there earlier, but he didn't.
Well, isn't the suggestion that the cap on the amount that you will have to pay for your old age care is £100,000, something like that, and then you won't have to.
But if you've got
Well,
got to pay
precisely.
£100,000. How many pensions got £100,000?
Well,
I don't know any. They're only living on about £120 a week.
It rather does
Why do you
suggest that
think
they
they-
aren't.
I'll tell you, Nick.
Are you listening to me? Hello,
Go on,
is
go
this
on,
thing
Nick.
on? It rather suggests that people, the people who are running the country, do not share the experience of the common man. If they can say something like that, this is the solution to the problem. All you'll have to come up with is $100 grand. Who doesn't have that lying about the place, Doris?
No, we haven't. No pension. But the thing is, have you thought why most pensioners, as they get older, haven't got computers and all the other gear that goes with it?
Because it's very difficult for an old mind to learn new
No,
tricks.
they haven't got the money.
Oh, right.
They haven't got the money, Nick. If you're living on about £120 a week and you're going to get this computer and all the bits and bobs that you want with it, they can't. They don't even barely have enough money to pay for their heating, let alone have a computer.
Well,
stuck in it.
that is true, but computers have come down massively.
Well, how much
relatively-
are you talking about? 300 for something?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, then that's a lot of money to some pensioners.
But it's a lot of money to me.
You know, they've got that 300's got to go on their heating to keep them warm.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of money. No, I think Cameron, if he was to do that, do something, he'd definitely get in next time. With the pensioners, he would anyway. Because I still think it's disgusting. You become ill, and then you've got to be looked after. And you can't be looked after under the National Health. Carry on, Nick.
You should ignore pensioners at your peril if you are a political party.
Warning, warning.
Because those are the people that go and vote. Did you go and vote last time, Doris?
I did.
See?
I did vote, yeah.
Right, that's
And I think
exactly what
we
I'm
should
saying.
vote.
16-year-olds, or 18-year-olds rather, do not vote. They do not vote. 20-year-olds don't vote. 30-year-olds don't really go and bother and vote. Pensioners, in their droves.
Well, they're voting because this is what they're hoping for. They've got things that they'd like the parties to do if they get in, which they never do. But they go there, put in their voting, hoping that they're going to do some of these things that they never
Who'd
do.
you vote for last time, Doris? You don't have to answer. Who'd you vote for? You don't have to answer that question. It's none of my business.
No, I won't. No, I can't remember now.
You can't remember?
Well, no, because I wanted independent party and we never had anybody standing in the independent. It was conservative in Ongar, at any rate. No, nothing else ever gets in. It doesn't round here. Don't matter what you put anything down on there, but it still be the same.
Well, that sounds very
Do you know
suspicious.
do you know Conservatives got in Harlow last time?
Did they?
I was amazed. Well, you know, it's Pram City, isn't it?
I've got no idea. I don't.
Oh, yes.
I've never been to Harlow, or I think I have been to Ongar because I used to live in Chelmsford. Chelmsford's near Ongar, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. You
But I was
like it, did you?
No, not really. I was a very small. I was a very small child, and I was going to school. So I lived in Writtle and went to school in Chelmsford.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah.
I know Writtle.
Is Boswell's Comprehensive still
there.
standing? Is it?
Yes,
Oh,
it's still there. We
blimey.
actually
Really?
Nick, we nearly bought a bungalow facing there. That's how I remember it. A couple of years ago. It's still there. Yeah.
Bungalows. At what age does a person move into a bungalow, Oris?
People with
Doris?
children now, you can't get them for love of money because they love to buy a bungalow because as the family gets bigger, they can build above and make it into a house. So I've been told by the estate agent. I didn't realise that. That's why we can't get any bungalows. He said to me, what it is, all the people's children are buying them up, he said. So if they get a bigger family, then they extend upwards and make it into a house.
They come over here, buy our bungalows.
Yes.
You know, in America they call them ranch-style homes, those homes on single level. I would much prefer a lateral space than having to climb up and downstairs all day, but we just ain't got we haven't got the land for it, Doris.
No, I know. I like bungalows myself. I'd like one, actually.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
you should.
I'll tell you what, Nick. I'll tell you this.
Treat
now.
yourself, dear.
No, I got a stair lift. I bought myself a stair lift.
Right.
Or to go a stair lift to go up the stairs because.
Well, can I ask you a question about that, Doris?
Yeah.
Do you have any stairs?
I have.
Oh,
yeah.
right. Well, then that works
I
perfectly.
haven't got a bungalow. I've got a house.
Thanks a lot,
Nick.
Doris. Good value as usual. Cheers, my dear. 0845 6060 973. You can text. Well, wouldn't that be an awful state of affairs? Some spiv comes around and sells her a stair lift. She lives in a bungalow. 0845 6060 973. It's the 50th anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech. Do you have a dream? Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Well, let's get back to it.
You know, there was an excellent article by Janet Daly in The Telegraph, and I know that this is a thing that happened some while ago, like a week ago, something like that. But for the Telegraph to stick up for something that happened to The Guardian is unusual, to say the least. And this was such a great article, I thought I would give you just some of it. Janet Daly in the Daily Telegraph wrote, a few weeks ago, a British national newspaper was visited by a detachment of national security agents who demanded that its computers and hard drives be destroyed. The security men then stood over its staff while they smashed their equipment to pieces. In the peacetime history of a free country, this incident is about as shocking as it gets. And yet, a remarkable consensus has grown up, including, I am sorry to say, many on my side of the political fence, to the effect that this is no big deal, says Janet Daly in The Telegraph. The reasons that this scene, which looks on the face of it like something out of East Germany in the 1970s, is apparently perfectly acceptable, seem to be, A, the data in the computers was a threat to the national security of this country and that of our American allies, B, this information was stolen from the US government and published illegally by people who are narcissistic, eccentric, of dubious political judgment, and C, that the paper in question was The Guardian, which is full of annoying left-wing, excuse my language, but this is what she said, annoying left-wing prats. If they can use that language in Her Majesty's Telegraph, then we should be able to use it here. She said, let's consider these points in order of importance. Taking a hammer to the hardware in the Guardian's basement will make scarcely any difference to the dissemination of this data, since duplicates reside in other locations around the globe. So presiding over the physical destruction of the newspaper's property could only constitute a form of rather theatrical intimidation. And as an aside, I would say that that's probably the exact same thing, the exact same reason that they detained that journalist's boyfriend in Heathrow for the maximum permitted 9 hours. It was a theatrical intimidation. Janet Daly in The Telegraph says the official excuse for getting rid of the equipment, even though the data was known to exist elsewhere, was that the paper's system might be insecure, so obliterating it meant that at least one source of potential leaks was eliminated. She says this would be far more credible if the National Security Agency, whose mass surveillance program had been exposed, was as diligent in carrying out its prescribed function as it is in vindictively pursuing anybody who reports its unconstitutional activities to the world. Yeah, I've said this like several times, actually over and over and over again. It's kind of, Barack Obama is a little disappointing, isn't he? Here comes the new boss, same as the old boss.
Absolutely.
Janet Daly in The Telegraph says it's now an established fact that the US security agencies, while they were presumably busy trawling through the email traffic and telephone records of the general population, ignored explicit warnings that the Tsarnaev brothers were potential terrorists. In spite of the Chechen pair being specifically identified by Russian security experts, these dangerous young men, living in plain sight, were allowed to prepare unmolested for the Boston Marathon bombings. You know, hindsight is always 20/20, but if you are told that somebody is dangerous and you have the amount of resources as the US security agencies certainly do, then to just ignore another entire country telling you, warning, you better keep an eye on these people, and then not do it, well, that doesn't recommend their competence to us, to put it mildly. Janet Daly in the Telegraph says, in addition to such serious lapses of concentration, the NSA has had moments of comic ineptitude. At one point, it seems it confused the international dialing code for Egypt with the area code for Washington. Egypt is 20, Washington is 202. And ended up hauling in the records of every phone call that went through the nation's capital. Indeed, the fact that Edward Snowden, who was an employee of an outside contractor, had access to its top-secret data suggests that the standards of security at the agency are pretty lax. They should be arresting themselves. Janet Daly says this brings us to reason B why people don't seem to be that bothered about what's happened here. That individuals who transmitted and received this information are like weirdos and freaks, and narcissists. She says the personalities of these people, however self-righteous or psychologically flawed, are of no relevance. What Snowden exposed was a gross abuse of power by a secret policing agency. And nobody seems bothered about it. Just nobody seems to care. Oh, well. In reality, says Janet Daly in the Telegraph, this programme now involves the indiscriminate mass monitoring of innocent communications on a scale that is unprecedented in history. What we should be concerned about are not the personal quirks of Mr. Snowden, but the significance of what he revealed with the help of some journalists. She says, so here we are at sea, and the particular problem that some commentators have with The Guardian. When James Rosen, the White House correspondent of Fox News, was being threatened by the Obama administration's Department of Justice, he was defended in the most robust and uncompromising terms by none other than the New York Times, a newspaper that was the quasi-official Obama fanzine, which detests Fox News with every fibre of its being. And yet it stood shoulder to shoulder with Fox's persecuted reporter against illegitimate bullying by the federal government. She says neither his views nor the political orientation of his employers were of any consequence in the matter. That is how it has to be if freedom of expression is to survive in these dangerous times. And they are. They are dangerous times for freedom of expression. And this is the justification of it all, she says, that the dangerousness of the times means that we must temporarily suspend our basic freedoms and even our concept of private life. But where are we going with this, she says? How much are we prepared to compromise with our idea of a life worth living in order to pursue the chimera of perfect safety? An awful lot of people are saying they don't mind if their emails, Skype calls, mobile phone records and so on are being collected. If it helps to protect them and their families, it's okay, they say. Well, suppose we park a security officer at the door of every household to monitor who enters and leaves, who visits whom and how many hours they stay. Will that be okay too? She says the British degree of trust in their security agencies startles many other countries, like Germany and the US, where liberty is taken less for granted. An editor of the US National Review wrote last week of those who steadfastly refuse to express anxiety unless they can actually hear jackboots. And once you hear the jackboots, it's too late. It's an excellent article. I've just given you some of it, and I recommend it to you. Janet Daly. You can look it up on the World Wide Web. Meanwhile, no one is concerned in any way, shape or form. They don't care. As with one voice, they're saying... Boring! Yeah, can you talk about something more interesting, like, I don't know, Justin Bieber, or... Oh, I've got news about Justin Bieber, by the way. It's somewhere in here. I'll find it, don't you worry about that. The I Have a Dream speech is 50 years old this week. You have a dream. You must do. What is it? 0845 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @lbc973. Some texts and emails. My dream is that all politicians who start wars should have to fight in that war. They wouldn't be so keen to start wars then, says Jill. I think you're absolutely right there, Jill, yeah. And ways to save money. We actually got an entire suggestion. I have a water meter and I saved myself a lot of money, says this one. I haven't flushed my toilet for... Wait a minute. I haven't flushed my toilet for many months now. You know, Ken Livingstone had a phrase about this, and it appalled me when he said it, and he repeated it over and over again. He said, if it's brown, flush it down. If it's yellow, let it mellow.
Disgusting.
Well, that's what I thought. Presumably that is your credo, Maxima, in Manor Park, which I shall be giving a swerve from now on. She says, I haven't flushed my toilet for many months now. My bathroom is on the ground floor, and I flushed the toilet with washing up water, or bath water. Well, excellent idea. You should have said that first. She says, I hate it when people visit and ask to use the loo, as I'm pretty certain they'll flush it without asking. P.S. I'm single. Yes. And on the subject of the school run. Hi, Nick, I did the school run for 6 months. Never again. As an experiment, you should try to drive a car past a school either at chucking in or chucking out time. Horrific standard of driving, parking, and general road manners. Hell on earth. I have a dream that one day I'll grow back a full head of hair. Enough hair to wash and style would be a dream come true, and so much better than shaving my head with a razor, says Mono. It looks as though the way this is written as though that is all one email, but I'm guessing that that's two emails from two different people on two different subjects. I'll connect them. It doesn't matter one way or the other. 0845 6060 973. You have a dream. What is it? Is the school run as stressful as they say? Have you found any ways to save money since the economic catastrophe hit? And what's your thoughts about us funding political parties? 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott in desperate search of a phone call. Sitting in for Anthony Davis on LBC 97.3. He's right, 0845 6060 973. Is this thing on? Hello? Some of Britain's biggest wind farms are at times producing only enough electricity to make a few cups of tea, according to official industry figures. Not just a like a windmill, but a wind farm. Well, I'll go to the foot of our stairs. Data released by one of the largest green energy companies show wind farms producing enough electricity to boil 2 kettles at a time. An entire wind farm. 2 kettles. At one stage last week, 3 big wind farms even took electricity out of the national grid to run basic power supplies on site. They didn't even have enough energy to turn the light on. And this is instead of course, actually supplying electricity to households. Such a phenomenon is known in the industry as parasitic consumption. I have another word for it. I'll keep it to myself. Well, ridiculous. There's a word that I can say on the air. Such a phenomenon is known as parasitic consumption, when wind farms are put up at the cost of millions and millions and millions of pounds, and yet they need... it's practically beyond belief. But they take electricity out of the national grid just to illuminate the light at the bottom of the... just so you can find your way. The data reveals just how much electricity is being generated by each wind farm at a given moment. I'm amazed that they allow this information to be released. The figures show just how little electricity giant turbines produce at certain times, bolstering claims by critics that wind turbines cannot be relied upon to provide a constant source of electricity. Well, you don't need to be a critic to say that. That's just true. On Thursday afternoon last week, one wind farm in Wales was producing a total of 6 kilowatts, which is just enough to boil 2 kettles of water. An entire wind farm for 2 cups of tea. It's a wind farm of 14 turbines and was producing 0.001% of its maximum capacity. Little chain-court wind farm, which consists of 26 turbines, each of them 377 foot high, was producing 129 kilowatts of electricity last Thursday afternoon. The wind farm, which was hugely controversial when it was built at a cost of £50 million on the site of Romney Marsh in Kent, is the largest in the southeast of England. Its supply last Thursday was equivalent to the boiling of 43 kettles. Well, that sounds like excellent value for money, doesn't it?
No.
50 million quid. £50 million for 43 cups of tea. That's about £1 million per cup. Excellent value for money. 3 wind farms in Yorkshire, Anglesey and Cumbria on Thursday afternoon appeared to be taking electricity from the national grid rather than supplying it. And while the snapshot shows how little electricity was produced by some wind farms on still summer days, there have been other times in the past month when the wind farm owners have been paid by the national grid to shut down in order not to overload the electricity supply system. I could be appalled. I've decided to be amused. Such payments, known as constraint payments, have reached, guess how much, for 3 weeks in August? That's right, £7.5 million. £7.5 million to pay for wind farms to stop turning. Can you imagine what it's going to cost us on a windy month like, September, or October, or November, or December, or January, or February? Or March, or April, or May? In other words, there are times when turbines produce too much electricity and when they produce not enough. It's like the Goldilocks method of making electricity. The Labour government introduced a consumer subsidy added on to electricity bills to encourage the construction of wind farms. And that subsidy is predicted to rise to, are you ready? By 2020, it's predicted to rise to £6 billion. £6 billion. Renewable UK, the trade body representing the wind industry, said the UK possessed the best... You'll love this. Said the UK possessed the best wind resource in Europe. Which sounds like a lot of hot air. A lot of massively expensive but totally unproductive hot air. And there's worse. I have worse to come. Gillingham, hello, Rob.
Hello there, how you doing?
Hello there, I'm doing great, mate.
Right, are you ready?
Lay it on me.
For my plan?
Yeah.
Right, I plan, with help of many others, I've already got the ball in motion behind the scenes, to stage a world stage event.
Yes.
Right. Live 8 with Bob Geldof was a huge success.
Yeah. Give us your bleeping money.
Give us your bleeping money, yeah. Live 9 is on the horizon.
Really?
Yes. Not just myself, but there's a lot of people involved in making it happen.
Yeah.
And
anyone we know?
I don't disclose too many names
it's
right now.
It's a secret, I understand.
But I just wanted to publicise the event a bit.
Well, what's it in aid of, Rob?
Right. It's in aid of any charity you can think of. It's going to be changed from the old format, where you just dial a number on the screen and that's get the money. You
and
know,
then pretend to the person who answers. Yeah, pretend to the person who answers the phone that you're going to give them hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds, and then conveniently forget that you made that phone call later. Yeah, so you're ditching that.
Yeah. Right, ditching that. Maybe still having that to some extent, but not really.
Yeah.
Instead, people organising their own events in their own homes, in their own all televised throughout the UK and the world, and having buckets in their homes or whatever, and taking money directly to charities that they think needs it. Also, the government getting involved and flying out key workers that are skilled to provide water aid, food aid, vaccinations, whatever needs to be done.
Don't they do that already?
They do, but it needs a public bank holiday. The date that I propose...
Yeah. It better be a sunny one. Go on.
It's a public bank holiday, hopefully.
When?
It's 9th to the 9th.
9th to the 9th.
2014.
September? It could be raining in September, Rob. The weather might be dreadful.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, like I said,
wake me up when September ends. What I want the people to do is to just check out a Facebook page, if that's possible.
Well, I'll direct them to Facebook, and they'll find it on there. Yeah, never mind about all that, Rob. Who's going to be playing?
The whole world, hopefully, will do 9 things in a day to help humanity. Like,
right, but what about bands? Give me some names, Rob. Names.
You want names?
Yeah.
I'm talking... Whoever you can think of, take that.
Oh.
Bob Geldof will be back.
Oh.
All right. You want bigger names?
Well, yeah.
All right. Okay,
Anybody else?
I'll give you big... What about the Killers?
No.
Away 3-4 Men?
No.
The Beatles minus John Lennon.
Well, it's just Paul McCartney now.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. He'll do na 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 na. No, all the girls. Come on.
www.
Yeah. Okay, Rob.
Rock and roll.
Oh, that sounds like the worst television programme ever. Nice try. 0845 6060 973. I Have a Dream is 50 years old on the 28th, which I believe is Thursday, there or thereabouts.
Correct.
So you must have a dream yourself. What might that be? Pass it on. Here's a call on the Isle of Dogs. Hello, Ian.
Hello.
Ian.
Hi, Nick.
How you doing?
Pretty good, thanks. Nick, I have a dream. I'm not the least bit religious, but I was most impressed when I read that the Archbishop of York has started a campaign to actually do something about the 5 million people who are employed in frontline jobs and they don't earn enough to live on.
Yeah.
And yet their bosses are paying themselves obscene bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
And so my dream is that bosses will begin to become responsible and realize that if they want to serve their customers, their clients, their service users well, looking after their frontline employees is the most important thing, and making sure that they earn enough to live on is a number one priority, and that the bosses themselves will begin to be more responsible in terms of what they pay themselves in terms of salaries and bonuses.
Well, it doesn't seem to be the way that capitalism has gone in this country, does it? It's a nice idea, is capitalism, but it seems to have been hijacked.
I'm sorry, Nick. It used to be that way. I'm old enough to have worked for ICI, which used to be the largest chemicals company in the world. And the chairman of that his salary used to be pegged to 30 times the average salary in the firm.
Yeah.
If you look at John Lewis Partnership, as far as I understand, the chief executive is paid 80 times the full-time salary of the lowest-paid worker.
Yeah, and that sounds a lot, but it's actually, in the great scheme of things, peanuts in the as far as the size of that corporation, that company is.
No, but this really matters. It really matters.
Well, you seem to be thinking that I'm disagreeing with you. I am not disagreeing with you. I am agreeing with you.
That way, Nick.
Well, you maybe are not listening to what I'm saying.
Okay,
what I am saying is that it no. You don't shut up, but what I'm saying is that capitalism doesn't seem to have gone that way in this country. It used to be that way. Capitalism is a nice idea, but it seems to have been hijacked. I am agreeing with you.
I agree with you on that, and in actual fact, the greatest strategic guru in the world, Michael Porter, published a groundbreaking article about 18 months ago to say that short-term capitalism has failed, and what we need is shared value capitalism.
Maybe he listens to this show, because that's the thing that I bang on about constantly, is the thing that is going to do for humankind, and you can see it as the major problem in almost everything that goes wrong, is short-termism.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and shared value capitalism is about looking at the interest of all of the stakeholders. That's the long-term interest, the employees, the customers, even the communities in which they operate. And Unilever has actually begun to go down that track under the direction of Paul Polman.
I mean, people will say that, companies have to have the best interests of their employees and the best interests of the consumers at heart, because otherwise they won't last very long. But then we're back to the same problem again. They don't really the people who are running these companies, they don't care. All they are interested in is fulfilling their contractual obligations to get their bonuses, to maximise their short-term earnings.
I agree with that, Nick, but that's my dream, because I actually feel we're actually on the verge of a new dawn. There's something in London, it started at the RSA, the Royal Society of Arts, called Tomorrow's Company. We've already got Unilever following what Michael Porter said in that article.
Who's Michael Porter? It's a name you keep talking about over and over again. Who is he?
He's a very eminent professor. He's considered the strategic guru. And
strategic guru? What does that mean?
Well, in other words, he's a guru about business strategy.
Strategy, all right, okay.
Okay, and as I mentioned, Paul Polman, who is the CEO of Unilever, is already following.
Well, it's a very nice idea, Ian, but I don't think it's going to work, because too many people are making too much money in the short term, and they're not going to give that up. You know that's true.
It's just a dream, and as a matter of fact, I think you're wrong, Nick. I think you'll find in the next 10 years it will become very prevalent.
Well, let's hope so. Fingers crossed. Thanks a lot, Ian. A dream. That's what I was asking for, and that's what he gave me. It's a dream. It's a realisable dream. People just have to think it up and do it. Do we think that it's going to happen anytime soon?
Negative.
Well, maybe not. Maybe that's just me being negative. It's the 50th anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech, one of the greatest speeches of all time. It'll be 50 on the 28th of this month. You have a dream. You must have some kind of a dream. It may be massive. It may be huge. It may affect humankind, or it may be trivial. It may be utterly insignificant. Pass it on anyway. 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3. It's 12:30.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Alrighty then.
0845 6060 973. You have a dream. What is it? Pass it along. I double dare you. I'm also interested in your tips for saving money, because we still seem to be, despite the fact that they tell us over and over again we're all in this together, we ain't. And even the wife of the Governor of the Bank of England is passing on her money-saving tips in her blog. Now, you wouldn't think that she would have to worry about such mundane things, but apparently it's fresh and foremost in her mind. Does the state attack on the Guardian's offices and its cooperation with America's intelligence authorities make you feel more or less safe? Or do you just don't care? And what about people keep talking about the school run. It's an issue that's come up over and over again in this last week or so. In practically every paper I've looked at, they've had some article about the school run mum and the lifestyle that she leads, being very stressful and more stressful, in fact, than actually going to work. Is that true? 0845 6060 973. And on the subject of dreams, this one says, my dream would be all my housework would be done every morning when I got up, says Carol in Ruislip. Hey, you know what, Carol? There's a way that can happen. And I know that seems like hard to believe, but there is actually a way that can happen. And it doesn't involve like the Hoover Fairy or anything like that. For all your housework to be done every morning when you get up, simply do it at night before you go to bed.
Correct.
Works every time. You're welcome. This says, I have a dream that this government would axe the bedroom tax and let us get on with our lives instead of worrying if we're going to have a home, says Heather in Battersea. And Nick, I have a dream that one day a chicken can cross the road without its motives being questioned. Good one. Let's go with call. Which one shall I take here? Streatham, Orpington, Haringey, Reigate. Which one? Select. Which one? Anyone at all? No? All right, I'll keep filling. Nick, I have a dream. Luton Town Football Club getting to the Premiership in the next 5 years. And I believe, says Rob in Luton. Keep the dream alive, Rob. Here's a call in Streatham. Hello, Jim.
Hello there. How are you?
Hello there. I'm all right, Jim.
Yeah, I've got famous out of my YouTube videos, yeah, believe it or not.
You what?
The dream I had to push the YouTube videos through the internet has paid off.
Push the YouTube videos through the internet?
Yeah, I've made, how many now? Coming up to 500 videos altogether.
What are they of? I hesitate to ask.
It's Jim the Dancer.
You dance?
Yeah, dance and operations, all different kind of uniforms. And I made most stuff out of cardboard boxes and things.
I'm confused, Jim. What is it that you're saying you do?
Dance videos on the YouTube.
And where did boxes come into it?
I made all my uniforms out of cardboard boxes and material.
What kind of uniforms?
I made a cat, a boat, Doctor Who box, all sorts of different items I've done.
And then you wear them?
And I wear them and I film them and put them on the YouTube, and people all over the world watch them.
And this is legal, is it?
Yeah, I should imagine so, yeah. Dance videos, you know.
Right.
Like singing videos, operations, all sorts of things.
What do you mean, operations?
Well, I've done an operation the other day on an alien from outer space.
Oh, right, it's one of those calls. Let's have a call in Orpington. Hey, Ray.
Hey, Nick.
Oh, hello, Ray.
Yeah, this I Have a Dream speech, obviously one of the most charismatic, probably the most charismatic speech ever filmed, and Martin Luther King. President Obama obviously is going to very much want to be associated with him
yeah,
the next
desperate.
couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious, what will he be remembered for? He was the first black American president, obviously, but I mean, by contrast, you think Mrs. Thatcher will go down in history as Mrs. Thatcher. The fact that she was the first British Prime Minister is incidental. Left and right would concur she was a doing Prime Minister. I mean, she changed this country for good or ill. We can discuss which, but...
Well, that's very interesting, yes. We don't really think... When we think of Margaret Thatcher, we don't really think, the first female Prime Minister. We don't think of really her as being... I don't mean this to be insulting, but we don't think of her as being a woman at all. We think of her as being the Prime Minister.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, when Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, you know, we all thought he was a bit premature.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little
he got
bit,
it for two reasons. He wasn't George W. Bush, and he was black.
Exactly.
But with hindsight, it's probable that they will be the achievements he's known for. I mean, I'm not getting him. He's likeable, he's personable, he's intelligent. But, I mean, Guantanamo Bay is still there.
Exactly.
I mean, how has America really changed internally and internationally? Now,
he's a big disappointment to me. He's just like the old fella.
Absolutely.
He gets plus points for his for the health changes. I think he made some over there, and his attempts to introduce gun control. But I mean, Lincoln he ain't, Kennedy he ain't, Washington he ain't. But to be fair to him, he may have disappointed, but Blair he ain't, and Brown he ain't. But has he actually said anything memorable? I mean, he's not for turning. He's binding up nations' rude, bit of a Berliner. I mean,
well, it's I Have a Dream versus The Audacity of Hope, which doesn't have any kind of ring to it.
No, but to pull out something you said earlier, if you listen, you can hear the jackboots at the door already, the stormtrooper enforcers of the BBC. Now, my dream is to see the St George's flag flying over Broadcasting House at the fall of our Pravda. And it'd save us money, but not before they reunite Doctor Who with his granddaughter and Ian Chesterton. Both the actors are still alive. 50 years, come on, it's just a thought.
Doctor Who, you can't possibly be interested in that child's programme.
I'm obsessed with it. I have been since since it started. I didn't see it. It was broadcast the day after Kennedy was assassinated, of course, it started. I didn't see it that day. It was repeated the next week, and that's when I saw it. So, 30th of November will be my 50 years.
My interest in... I've mentioned this before, but my interest in the programme Doctor Who evaporated, and I can remember it. I think it was in colour. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it was. And the Doctor went into... I can't remember which one it was. I'm not really that interested. But the Doctor went into a tent, and he was zapped by an monster from outer space. And his youthful assistant followed him in afterwards and saw that the Doctor had been reduced to a bubbling pancake of what looked like elephant vomit on the ground. And she said, and I quote, "Doctor, are you all right?"
And then she made a cup of coffee.
At that point, I thought, this is not a programme for me.
But it was interesting. I was in France when my friend bought the Times, and of course it was the front page of the Times. You know, there was the 12th Doctor had been announced. And I was talking to a German rock star, actually. I won't name him, but...
I bet it was Michael Schenker.
No, I don't even know. He's been... Well, it wasn't him. But he had never heard of Doctor Who. And I said to him, if you actually go on Google, I don't know in Germany, in Britain, if you look up Doctor on Google, DR, it automatically suggests Doctor Who, you know.
Really?
And I said, you know, he was on the front page of the Times.
Well, that's just... That says a little about the Times and everything you need to know about the Internet.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's an institution, you know, and it became an institution the moment the Oxford English Dictionary back in the 60s introduced Dalek as a word.
Well, at that point, I think the world went rack and ruin. What was the date?
Well, the date they introduced the word, the date it started was the 23rd of November.
Oh, I can't believe you know that.
Well, of course I know that. I told you I'm an obsessive fan, particularly of the best Doctor of all, who, of course, was the first, and I'm told that the new one is the same age as Hartnell when he started, which is a change. I mean, I thought they were going to have school kids next playing the Doctor. But
well, yeah, I thought that, you know, it's a programme aimed at children, so I thought that it would have gone with somebody more, like, child-friendly, more youthful, and, you know, like, I hesitate to say it, but good-looking.
Well, I thought the funniest thing, I remember we get some rubbishy sort of articles from left-wing academics, and I remember when it started, you know, they were trying to suggest it was kind of some fascist indoctrination. The Doctor travelled around the universe in a police box, and this was code for, you know, the police putting everything right.
Well, the police being everywhere at all times, listening and watching to every single
like
little thing you do. Yeah, exactly right. Okay, good work. Thanks a lot, Ray. 0845 6060 973. Meanwhile, guess what the police are concentrating their efforts on? Have a wild stab in the dark. When police chiefs advised their officers to join Twitter, they thought it would improve their public image and connect forces with their communities. But the tactic has backfired. After a mugging victim complained that officers were using their force's official accounts to keep track of their favourite celebrities, sports teams, and fashion brands. Among the accounts being followed by police throughout the country are those of Miranda Hart, the comedian. Well, I beg to differ. I saw one of her shows. There wasn't a laugh in it. And Rihanna, the pop star. Officers also followed television shows such as Downton Abbey and shopping brands including Victoria's Secret, the lingerie company, and Christian Louboutin, the shoe designer. Which makes me think, exactly how much are police people paid that they can afford shoes that cost the same as my car? The country's biggest force had ordered a clean-up of its official social media accounts after receiving a formal complaint from a victim who was concerned about its apparent interest in celebrities. By following other accounts on Twitter, users are notified when that person sends a message. This means that when officers who control the police accounts log on, they will be presented with a stream of information about the people they're following. Well, I think that's overstating it somewhat. If anybody who has spied Twitter will know, information is not really what you get a lot of on Twitter. Unless it's information like, oh, just had a cup of tea. It's quite nice, really. Or, I've got nothing on. Have you ever seen this before? Guidance from the Association of Chief Police Officers, ACPO, says, the use of social media for private purposes during working time and from force systems should be in accordance with local force policies. The use of social media for such purposes during work time and from personal mobile devices is not recommended. That is what they say, which is a massively long-winded way of saying don't do it. But that's not police speak. Don't do it. Too direct. To the point. Police Scotland last month said it was reviewing its Twitter use after an insulting message was posted from its official account. The force has apologised for the message, which said it was aimed at Toby Young, the Telegraph blogger, after he appeared on Newsnight discussing whether police should act to stop Twitter trolls. Well, yeah, they could start with themselves.
Correct.
How ironic. Police in Solihull in the West Midlands follow Cricket Australia. Leicestershire Police follows Colleen Rooney, the wife of the England footballer. Police in Lambeth in South London follow Rihanna, Simon Cowell, Downton Abbey, Victoria's Secret, Christian Louboutin, and Justin Bieber, the pop star. Struth, how do they have time to do anything else? And how old, by the way, do you have to be to become a police person these days? Are they on solid food yet? They're believers. Gordon Scobby, a name I am not making up, formerly the ACPO officer responsible for social media, said, I can understand following some politicians, celebrities with a cause, or perhaps local celebrities, but not Rihanna and not Justin Bieber.
Negative.
Lady Gaga, on the other hand, she would be okay, because she's so fantastic. So that's the reason that police can't attend the whatever it is that is ailing you, because they're too busy checking out Justin Bieber's latest selfie. It's the 50th anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech. What is your dream? 0845 6060 973. Some text and emails. Hi Nick, my dream would be... Oh, I've read that one. I dream this, and I've read that one. I dream one day... I've read that one, and that one. Oh, here's one I haven't read. Nick, I have a dream that the person I met a couple of years ago is the person I marry one day, says Sophie in East London. Well, I assume that you've spoken to them since, although you never know. Speaking of people what you really, really love, and I read that excellent article by Janet Daly in The Telegraph some moments ago, and she was talking about the raid that the security services were engaged in on the defenceless Guardian newspaper, where they went into the basement and made them smash up their own equipment. No! Well, the staff working at America's National Security Agency, in which they are in tandem, they're in cahoots, the eavesdropping unit that was revealed to have spied on millions of people, they've used their own technology to spy on their own lovers. The employees even had a code name for the practice, Love Int. meaning the gathering of intelligence on their lovers.
Disgusting.
This is what they're spending their time doing. The spying was not within the US and was carried out when the lovers were abroad. Will you get an app for that? Can't you get an app that tells you where they are at all times? One employee was disciplined for using the National Security Agency's resources to track a former spouse. Well, you know what? At least he only did something illegal. If he'd told on someone doing something illegal, he'd be spending the rest of his life behind bars. It's the American way.
Absolutely.
Last week it was disclosed that the NSA had broken privacy rules on nearly not one or two occasions, but 3,000 occasions over a single year. John DeLong, a name I am also not making up, the NSA's chief compliance officer. Wow, he must be so busy he can barely have time to sleep. He's that compliance officer? The NSA's chief compliance officer said that those errors were mainly unintentional. Yes, they unintentionally broke the law on 3,000 separate occasions over a single 12-month period. Whoopsie-doodle. The extent of the American spying on its citizens and foreigners through the NSA and its PRISM program were revealed by Edward Snowden, a whistleblower who fled to Russia where he has claimed temporary asylum. Thank you, Edward. We appreciate your heroism. And we find it rather ironic that you would have to flee to the land, or rather flee the land of the free, to shelter in the arms of the Red Menace. And under the command of the New Hope president, too. Pretty ironic, I'd say. But still, nice people to do business with, eh? 0845 6060 97. Well, I shouldn't be surprised that there's the lack of phone calls, because August is the slow month for news. It's when politicians are away and there's precious little for the newspapers to report. And so they start, manufacturing news. They call it the silly period. The silly season. And so in a slow news month, it gets even slower during Bank Holiday weekend when there's really, really nothing to report. No, that's not accurate. There's plenty to report. I mean, there's still wars and strife and economic catastrophe, and there's no end of things to report. It's just that there's no journalists to do the reporting. And they'll be back on Tuesday. Tomorrow, oh, God. I've got no idea what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. Who knows? Isn't it exciting? We'll find out when I start saying it. What else can I amuse you with for the last 6 minutes of this show? Oh, God. How about... Well, I've got a lot of things that I started talking about that I didn't finish. Well, let's talk about something completely irrelevant to everything else I've said so far. Irony Corner. Isn't it ironic that an aspiring model whose 36 double D taxpayer-funded breasts has criticised a woman for having a $5,000 tummy tuck on the NHS? Josie Cunningham, 23, had £4,800 worth of breast enlargement surgery on the NHS in January after complaining that she'd been bullied over a flat 32A chest. But she's now criticised single mother and aspiring actress Kelly McManus, who had a $5,000 tummy tuck on the NHS because she wanted a better love life. I am stunned. Miss Cunningham said, "This is an incredible waste of taxpayers' money. Kelly should have just worked harder at losing her baby bump naturally." Miss McManus said she lost her confidence after having 3 children and was embarrassed to show her mummy tummy to men. She also wanted the surgery to increase her chances of pursuing an acting career because she wants to be the next Julia Roberts. Well, you know what? She should be a stand-up comedian with material like that. The part-time beautician who earns £7,000 a year could not afford the procedure and pleaded with doctors to help her get rid of her bulge. After 18 months of visiting her GP, she was referred to a surgeon for the taxpayer-funded operation. She once appeared on ITV's Jeremy Kyle show. Oh, no. One of those. She said, "What people need to understand is that it's been really hard for me. One of the worst things that I felt was being embarrassed when I took my clothes off in front of men, so it affected my sex life, and I'd just had enough, she said. The new tummy makes me feel a lot more attractive, and I've already been out with friends, and my sex life is also slowly improving. It's great, she said. It's sharing a little bit too much. She says, if it helps my career as an actress, something I've always wanted, then I don't think I've done anything wrong. The 27-year-old believes that the operation has saved the NHS money in the long term, saying it would have cost more money to treat her for depression. And a spokesman for the Taxpayers Alliance said, Miss McManus hit back at her critics, the lady who had the tummy tuck on the NHS, saying that she deserved the operation and would urge other women to follow the same path. Please, we're begging you. We can't afford it. Don't do it. At first, doctors recommended physiotherapy and exercise for Miss McManus to improve the appearance of her stomach, but she claims it did not work. Well, the thing with exercise is you've got to actually do it. Eventually, she was referred to a surgeon. And in the other case earlier this year, this is why it's in Irony Corner, Josie Cunningham, who was criticising this tummy tuck woman, told how she had £4,800 worth of breast enlargement surgery on the NHS after complaining that she'd been bullied over a flat 32A chest. And you'd think that the matter might end there. She'd be delighted with the result.
Negative.
Of course not. After undergoing the operation, the aspiring Modu from Leeds said her 36 double D breasts had made her the target of online abuse. So she had them in the first place because she was getting bullied, and now she's being bullied because she's had it done. It might not, it might have been us paying for the operation and you getting in the papers because of it that caused the online abuse. That might be one reason I might give, but what do I know? I'm not an expert. Miss Cunningham then said that she would like she would like two things. Here's the woman who went from 32A to 36 double D. Paid for by your money, I'd just like to point that out. And now she wants two things. Guess what they are? Go on, have a wild stab in the dark. She now wants a reduction operation and, are you ready? Compensation. What? Compensation. She claims she was not properly consulted before the operation and wants compensation for clinical negligence and emotional distress. Miss Cunningham, who works in telesales, consulted no-win, no-fee lawyers so she can, quotes, take the NHS for every penny. It's like the Daily Mail's dreams have come true. This one could run and run. And I will gift that to you free, with my compliments. I'm Nick Abbott, back tomorrow evening at 10 p.m. for Anthony Davis, who I predict will still be sore of throat. And the next voice you hear on LBC 97.3 will be this man's.